Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the start of the season. Qualifying getting ready to be underway here in preparation for the Drip Diecast 500 here at Daytona to kick off the ARCS A Square Cup Series season. Welcome everyone to ABN's coverage of the 7-Bar Barbecue A Square Cup Series here on YouTube. I'm Carmen. Sienna. Alongside me, as always, is Kevin Young. A lot of cars vying for, it was basically 43 spots, a lot of open cars vying for just 3 positions to make up this field. The intensity about to ramp up in a pretty significant way.
You are not wrong in the slightest, Carmen. Obviously, right now, by my count, we have 12 open cars fighting for 3 spots. Now, obviously, the driver in question is on a full-time basis and was drafted by a team. They'll have their seats secured as long as they do show up in 2 weeks' time to the 500 itself. For the other 12, they will know their fate at the end tonight, whether they'll be racing in the race, on the couch, or maybe hoping for a last-second call. We'll have all those questions answered well over in the allotted time we have for tonight's broadcast, as we have over about 2 minutes and some change to go here, as drivers just finished up their drivers' meeting, and at 7:15, we will start the qualifying and see how the chips fall. With the fastest 2 drivers, at the very least, will have their spots secured, and we'll start on the front row for the inaugural 500.
Obviously, 4 years in the running here. Longtime tradition is qualifying for the ARCS season opener here in the A Square Cup Series. A little bit of information about the track here. 2.5 miles is the length around here around Daytona. Pit road speed 55 miles an hour. That'll be important for the duels later tonight. Pit window, as it was in the clash a week ago, it is the same here tonight. Each duel is 30 laps. There's a guaranteed pit stop in those duels. There are 2 of them that we'll be watching here this afternoon. And as everyone's familiar with, the banking. This is the high banks of Daytona for a reason. 31 degrees in turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. The front straightaway, the tri-oval you're looking at right now, 18 degrees of banking. And on the back straightaway, it is 3 degrees of banking here at Daytona. Allows for a lot of high speeds, a lot of pack racing, as we normally see here at Daytona International Speedway. As you see some of the cars running on track at the moment, a little bit of dual practice here going on. Qualifying coming up here in just a minute's time is single car. For those that have been used to watching us on, as we covered HTL, you're going to see more of the same here to kick off the season. Single car qualifying, 1 car at a time runs, and it is in numerical order. So that is important to keep in mind. Number order now a factor here, not championship order from last season. Lower your number if you have a 1 like John Hagan, a 2 like Connor Knowlton, center of your screen. You'll be one of the first ones to go. And keep in mind, enforcement of the double yellow line rule. A little bit different this year. On top of, if you rumble a yellow line and qualifying, on top of that, removing your time from the session, you also, for each occurrence, get a 5-point penalty. Those penalties begin counting tonight.
And I was going to say that is very important, because if you start racking up penalties early in the year or even tonight, you could be in a spot where you are in a playoff hunt and you may miss the playoffs entirely because the points you ended up getting in the duel. So qualifying about to start now. Seems order, as Carmen was saying, is going to be car number only, but we will have at least a semi-order where it looks like part-time drivers will go first, then free agent full-time drivers, and then the official teams, all going in numerical order. So as qualifying is now officially about to start here, drivers get that last sense to get the jitters out. And if you're an open car or an open car, your best chance to make the show and not worry about duels is go the fastest or the second fastest.
And that is another really big point here. You have to be, if you're an open car, there's only 3 open spaces. 40 cars are locked in. You're fighting for 3 spots right now. If you're on the front row, you're already locked in. The duels determine every car beyond the front row. Positions 3 through 43 determined by the duels. 1 and 2 determined by what we're about to see on track here as we get ready to go racing here. Obviously, race control, the series officials will walk through everyone as far as who needs to be where, who's doing what. But But again, as we went through the numerical order, 49 cars, this will take a little bit. And drivers, especially later on in the session, will have the ability to look at how the session is going around here. We'll pull up the weather statistics because this is very important right now. Wind speed is currently 4 miles an hour to the northeast, but as you noticed, it changes. It is not static. It is going to change. If you can get some tailwind here at Daytona down the back straightaway, it'll help you significantly. We've seen that so many times through qualifying. The run you get out of turn 2, if you can hold it around turn 4, your life's going to be a lot easier, and we're going to see that to a massive effect here. Some cars at the front of the line here, and that is currently the 07 near the front of the queue.
Yep, 07 looks like he will be the first one, as obviously numerical with a 0 is going to put him in first car to fire off. Should be noting as well, obviously we've seen throughout other series, obviously HTL comes to mind, or even the Champ Car 500, or the ABN 500 I should say, is another example where single car qualifying and you have to time your runs just right. Now obviously drivers only get one attempt at the line, so the 07 will come out and will have basically half a track to try to get up to speed, and then when they are officially up to speed, or when they basically cross the line, that will be their one money lap to go. And like you were saying, Carmen, wind can play a factor. You may have bad wind conditions maybe to start the run, and it could maybe change into your favors and make it a little bit more manageable. And that could be the difference between possibly a pole run or a not a pole run, or possibly being starting further back than you may like. So drivers just kind of have to get lucky with the draw, and the longer they sit in pit lane and see these conditions, as they'll have the same information as us, they may be sweating or just hoping they can jump out there and get as quick as they can. So first car going to fire off the gun here is going to be the 07 of Alfie Sharon Jr. will be the first car here. Obviously one of the handful of open cars here that's going to have to try to punch their way in. And again, if they do not make it and they do not go to the fastest 2, they'll have to use the duels to go for 3 spots. And one note about that as well is it's going to be the fastest 3 drivers in the duels by position will decide the spots in either duel. So if you finish 5th, you may be in a good shot, but if the other duel has a driver finish 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, you'll be end up sitting on the couch because you got a little bit unlucky with how it all shaked out.
Yeah, and it's all going to be very important to try to manage here across this event. Alfie Sharon Jr. will see his first lap time on the board here as he gets up to speed. Remember, can't go below the double yellow line.
It's lap 1 in the books. Yep, 49.36 for him. And that will be the time the rest of the field will have to beat.
Pretty good time, all things considered, there for Alfie Sharon Jr. He is the blueprint. He is the bench line for the field right now. Next car up on the board, I do believe, if we scroll through the list, it should be
the 3 and the 12 are, yeah, because obviously cars are going to fire off a little bit of a gap against each other with how big the track is. But it's going to be the 3 of Stefan Oberstadt and the 12 of Ryan Pinnell following him. Well, with a bit enough distance so no draft is affecting either car.
Give me 1 second here to get everything pulled up. There we go. There's Stephen Oberstadt on your screen right now. 49.36, the time to beat.
Across the line. It's going to be good enough for pole. 49.33 provisionally now. Again, a long run to wait. See how it plays. Next up, Ryan Pinnell was supposed to be a driver that had a guaranteed spot. He elected to step back into a open car entry, so he'll have to race his way in his famous number 12 machine as he now officially starts his lap now, try to get himself into the top 2 spots. Right now, at the very least, we'll know as cars bump one car out, it's going to be a interesting situation to see as cars will jostle and change on this board. And as you can see on the machine, if we get a decent look through 3 and 4, one last time. As Brian Pinnell obviously was thinking about calling it a career last year, but definitely, you know, just like Mark Martin, a handful of drivers, racers just do not lose that itch. And he wants to go back for at least one more time, and now possibly one last time to try to take the checkered flag in any A-square competition, or even take the elusive 500. As Ryan Pinnell comes down here to finish his run, can he bump Oberstadt or Sharon off? He'll get Sharon, but he will not get to Oberstadt. P2 for Ryan Pinnell, 2/10 away from Stefan Oberstadt with a 49.36.
So we've had 3 cars run so far here. A lot of cars lined up and ready to go. John Smeal will be the next one to get ready to run a lap time here, the number 13. A lot of cars, it looks like, have opted out of running here. Obviously, this is meant to be in numerical order. John Hagen, Seth Wansing, Jonathan Adams, the 4 of Austin Mongold, the 9 Elliot Longenecker. None of them have gone. Neither has Josh Battles.
Yeah, there's an interesting note because I did see in the write-up that Kent did in the race channel, at the very least, he did say looked like order could have possibly been by part-time, then free agents, then official.
Oh, that's right.
But
it could be the open driver. All of them are open drivers
yeah,
right now.
so
that's fair.
Open cars will go first in numerical order here. And obviously, if you are a locked-in car, you're just fighting for your spot rather than per se, well, a spot in the field rather than actually make the show. So a little less pressure. But
Smeal misses out.
Yep, Smeal will have to go through the duels. Did have a good sector too, but actually no, he's gunning up now. So actually no, his lap did count though, so never mind. It looks like he will miss out, but does look he's got some speed in that number 413 machine for Smeal Racing Designs, SRD Racing.
Which means I believe the next car in line then should be the 14 of Tom Sears, who I know is present and should be getting ready to go. Tom Sears, here he is on the racetrack right now.
Yep, it will be Tom Sears and Marshall Harris also behind, both on warm-up laps. They'll kind of hit it internally with each other. Obviously, the 14 in a Milwaukee bright red machine. Obviously, Sears was a full-time competitor last year. Back-to-back Constructors Championships with Line Power. Decided to step away from full-time competition due to having a child. So good on Tom Sears, becoming a family man. We wish him well. But obviously, again, similar to a lot of drivers, you can't take that itch out of the racer, and he still wants to have some fun from time to time to race as he comes across the line now, and he will put himself on the front row like he did for the Clash just last week. So right now, he's provisionally P2 with a 49.34.
And now we have on the racetrack Marshall Harris, the number 19 machine, up next to run, and then we have Chris Gomes, the 26, on track as well.
Obviously, the 19 running a similar scheme we've seen Martin Truex run in real life. Nice little patriotic scheme. Again, it's a very tough spot to be an open car, and honestly, Carmen can definitely relate to this in the champ car sense with Indy qualifying along with myself, who had to make 2 straight shows to try to get into the race itself. It's a very hectic situation knowing that your seat's not guaranteed. You know, and with more cars showing and more cars showing up, it just becomes harder and harder to try to get a guaranteed spot, and that probably gnaws on you a little bit as you want to be fast, you want to set a good lap, but sometimes, especially with a duel after this, you just want to make sure you're in a spot that you can give yourself a fighting chance if you can't get on pole position. And as Marshall Harris comes across the line, P6 for the number 19, going to be not good enough. He'll have to go through the duels to make the show, and not the fastest of laps. Big difference between him and John Smeal, about a 10, like at least 0.10 separates the two of them. And as you see with a nice little fancy ticker with the flags that almost remind me of the Royal Rumble broadcast last night, with showing the drivers where they hail. A lot of American flags, though, as this is a lot of drivers that hail from the United States of America. Chris Gomes hitting the track next along with Nicholas Martinez Jr. They'll be the next 2 cars to take an attempt. Martinez has the distinction of being the pole sitter for the Clash, so that may give him a bit of reprieve. But we first got to see what Chris Gomes can do in his number 26 teal and white machine.
Yeah, right now Chris Gomes running. See if he's completing his lap right now. So let's see what that 26 car can do. 49.341, misses out by less than 0.02 of a second there. So not a bad run though for Chris Gomes.
He's going to be kicking himself a little bit though, as he could have maybe gave himself at least chance on the front row, but he'll have to go through the duels, and Martinez, he now on his flying lap as well. Again, like I was saying, he was the pole sitter for the Clash and did a drop back strategy and was able to get a decent finish inside Clash. So at the very least, he knows how to be fast on these plate tracks and get a good single lap time. Can that help him out here in that rubber racing warehouse machine. Can he maybe jump Oberstadt and Sears and put himself the best of the open cars?
That's the big question mark as we watch Nicholas Martinez come to complete his flying lap here in the 48 machine. Flying around the racetrack, 49.239, off by a little bit there. Actually, nope, pole position, 49.239. He got ahead. He got ahead by a decent amount. I was looking at the numbers wrong there. 49.239 versus the 49.33 that Oberstadt set. So new provisional pole for Nicholas Martinez Jr.
And that will put Sears out, so Sears will have to race his way in as well. But yeah, that's a great lap, and that's probably the first real benchmark time we got here to see what the drivers can do. Next car up is going to be the 51 of Briley Wright. Has had a pole in a AVN/ARCS competition when he was the pole sitter for the M-Box Cup Series, but obviously that was a bit of a different machinery in comparison to a next-gen car. That was a Gen 4-ish machine, basically an ARCS body. And now going to try to go out there again and try to put a pole run down for the Cheddar's machine.
Probably right, no stranger to racing here at Daytona, no stranger to racing in the ARCS Ace for a Cup Series. See what he can do here in that 51 car at Chevrolet.
And I think it's noteworthy as well as we see drivers electing different lines to take approaches here. And you can see the 51 hugging that wall rather than conventionalism. Sometimes say you see in real life drivers electing to go low, trying that high push wall here to try to get themselves an extra attempt. And we see in situations where it's a 2-lap qualifying, you'll see cars elect to go really high to that wall and stay to that wall for the first lap. We've also seen in other series as well, drivers will elect to go way low here down the back stretch to try to get that extra tire warmth and try to get those tires up to temperatures. So it's all about gamesmanship when it's pretty much flat out, but that one extra lap eliminates really that ability to be gamesmanship-y, as you have to just try to find what you can and give yourself the best chance and hope the conditions hold. And as obviously right now, as I'm keeping an eye on the winds, it's fallen down at least 2 mph comparison to the previous couple runs. So we'll see if that helps or hurts him as he comes across the line now. Only good enough for P6, splitting times with Ryan Pinnell and Chris Goins. Not going to be good enough. He'll have to go through the duels as well to take one of those crucial 3 spots.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was Briley Wright in the 51 car here. Still have several cars that are independents left to run, including drivers like Mark Dila, Nathan LaJoy, several other cars as well here getting ready to roll. As we just browse and peruse through, some drivers already in pit lane that are already locked in. Drivers like Vincenzo Iacovazzi already locked in here. He's on a charter ride. Driver that's not Brian Johnson, currently on the racetrack. Jeremy Braille beginning his run as well. The 72 in the 74. Getting ready to begin their runs here. We've had 10 car set lap times. Again, 49 set to run. Make qualifying attempts. Trying to make the Drip Diecast 500 in 2 weeks' time.
And obviously, we've seen the past couple of weeks. I'm assuming we'll keep seeing it. Someone in chat rooting for Brian Johnson. So hopefully that little extra praise can get him a little extra speed. But time across the board, he'll tie what Wright and Pinnell did. But it's not going to be good enough in that number 72. He'll have to go with the duel. As a 72 driver myself, I do wish him well and see if he can make that car into the show. But a driver that loves it when the chips are down, you could say, has shown up time and time again, as we can call back to HCL's 500 just about 9 months ago when he ended up finishing second in an open machine for Beatron Racing. So obviously he knows how to be fast at these tracks. He knows how to put himself in good spots. Kind of the Daytona whisperer in a way, if you will, trying to go for a three-peat. But in order to go for that three-peat, he's going to have to make the field. I just think right now he's trending in the right direction. And again, someone you do not want to count out when the chips are down. As he comes off of 4 right now in that Taco Bell machine, where can the B-Tron chairman put that car? We'll see here. Can he beat Nicholas Martinez Jr.'s time? Across the line. It will be good enough to put himself on provisional front row, but not provisional full. 3/10 away from Martinez Jr. Connor Morse will now be out, and he'll have to go through the duels. But right now, Martinez Jr. and Braille, the top 2, currently locking down the front row.
Here's Mark Dila, the number 80 machine, driving the number 80 Kroger Ford. A little bit of inspiration. I think a pure throw to the real-life Kroger machine that Chris Buescher will be running from time to time throughout the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season. You'll see another car similar to this, but a little bit darker color, the Fastenal number 60, driven by Patrick Oberstadt. Later on here in qualifying. Right now, Mark Dila trying to break his way into the front row. It is a lofty bar to hit. If you're Mark Dila, you have to get in 49.27 second lap time. You have to beat Jeremy Braille, the two-time winner of the season opener here in Daytona, and he's nowhere close. Not even cracking the top 10. 39.364 for Mark Dila. As Nicholas Pressey now comes up hot at the heels of his first Winstall 400 attempt last month. Going to try to put himself here in the field as well as an unsecured entry.
Another car that is a very interesting entry, to say the least, as well as obviously you've seen on the ABN family of networks, he is a mainstay when it comes to Champ Car machinery, and he knows how to wheel those things around. Obviously making maybe a little bit of flack from some of the racing body here, as the number is not where everyone else's is. He's pushed it back. Obviously, don't think there's anything in the rule book against that, so he will elect to place it where he wants to place it, and it will be where, you know, some purists will say that it's deserved to be. Others will say they like it forward. That is not my call to make, even though I would say it's better in the center. But is Pressey going to come down through 4 here to put his run? Can he bump either Braille or the 48 off? He will not. He'll be P4. He will also have to go through the duels to try to make the show.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this all really and sincerely plays out here, trying to see if there's any other cars running on the racetrack.
I think that's everyone for the open cars.
Yeah, we're just making sure there's 14 open cars here. That have set times so far. Just making sure with Brian Dixon, we know he's safe. Brian Dixon on track. Matt Vorndren, the 00, is now on the racetrack as well, and he is one of the secure cars. So we have turned back to the start of the number lineup here. So 00 and then 03 on the racetrack. Makes it pretty straightforward there.
Yep.
So Matt Vorndren now on the leaderboard. Brian Dixon behind him about half a lap. They're running we call it shotgun style qualifying. You launch 2 cars, one after another, about half a lap behind. Make sure that neither car are interfered with. Vorndren set a 49.341. Good enough for a top 10 run so far. Brian Dixon in that Boy Esports number 03 Toyota coming around the line. See where he's at right now as he starts his run. Looking good though on the timesheet. See if we can pull up that lap time as things currently run.
So as we get the graphics turned over to see that lap, he's now heading down the backstretch. First Bowie Esports car to attempt a qualifying lap.
Yes.
Here's obviously, we saw the team president of SRD Motorsports did his lap, and then obviously Bordeaux did as well. But the 03, obviously those cars are going to be running pretty much similar paints, I'd assume, throughout the weekend here as they did through Speed Weeks. As he comes off the last corner now, see if he can bump the open cars off the provisional front row, because both of them make it through. That is going to make it even more chaotic for the duels. But right now, coming across the line, only good enough for P6 for the 03 machine of Brian Dixon. So Verdon goes 8th, Dixon goes 6th, and that should in turn turn the clock over to our defending series champion, John Hagan.
So there's a little bit of a mix-up here. So this is Nathan LaJoy, who is not a locked-in car. They're putting him in line here since he needed to go qualify. He missed his spot initially. They're forcing him to go now, and that's exactly what they're doing. He is now on a timed lap, Nathan LaJoy. Seeing what he can do from that 97 car. So this is the 15th unsecured entry. for the Drip Diecast 500 coming up here in 2 weeks' time. Again, top 3, based on where you're positioned in the duels, make it in unless you're on the front row. Nicholas Martinez Jr. and Jeremy Braille currently in those coveted 2 spots.
And yes, like I was kind of saying too as well, if the front row is locked out by open cars, that means 1 available spot for all the other open cars. So 13 open cars have to go for 1 spot, and it would be the highest one in that situation. It does raise a question if, as we see LaJoy go P14, he will not be good enough to lock himself in the show. He'll have to go through the duels. But it does raise an interesting question. If 2 cars make it through on opening and 2 open cars win both heats, how exactly are they going to short that? Now, obviously,
whoever wins heat 1.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the case.
Like, because it's all about, because I always say you have 2 open cars obviously sit on the front row, and it could be a moot point as soon as John Hagan runs. He's been at least so far this year. It's your front row is locked in no matter what, and then it's just if the duel winner for duel 1 is also an open car, duel 2 kind of becomes a moot point. So that gets difficult. Now, that is a very strange circumstance to be the case, because what that does mean is that the say you have that situation, the duel winner becomes the first alternate.
Yeah.
If one of the full-time entries isn't there. But we'll see what John Hagan can do, and if he makes that entire conversation a moot point here across the line for car 1, and pretty much
point now.
Yeah. P2. So he's knocked Jeremy Braille, former teammate, off the front row.
Now, one more question I want to point out as well. We still got a long field to go here, and according to, we got a little more time for qualifying. Guys, the clock's ticking down in your clock.
Yeah,
so that clock
hour
is
7. It hasn't counted. It's not counting the extra hour. Correct.
Yeah, I looked up at my clock. I'm like, we still got an hour and some change. I'm looking at your clock, so I just wanted to make sure, just to let the viewers know.
It'll roll over. It only tracks the hour.
Yeah, just want to let the viewers know at home that there's not 7 minutes to go in qualifying. We still have well over an hour, if need be, for these drivers. Moving forward on, though, we do have Connor Knowlton and Austin Mongold, the next lucky 2 recipients to try to put down a time here as we ride on board here with Connor Knowlton. Knowlton last season, like I did say in the draft broadcast, had a interesting year, had an all right 500 to start, but ended up losing his seat and had to watch on the sidelines. New year, new driver, hopefully new mentality, and he's looking to make a full-time campaign in that number 2 machine. Coming across the line for the SRD Motorsports team, and that will be a 49.321, good enough for P6. So right now, not good enough to lock himself into the show, but at the very least, will give himself at least an all right start in the duels. Austin Mongold crossed the line now as well. I believe he is now officially starting his lap here.
Correct, he is. The reason why you see that timer the way it is below, because he crossed the start-finish line to begin his, so to leave pit lane, he had to come from his box, which was behind the start-finish line. So yeah, that 0.999, while world record pace does not count. Seth Wansing also now on track at number 5 for Sunday Money Racing. So we have a Ford and a Chevrolet both on track at the moment. It is still Nicholas Martinez Jr. on provisional pole, looking to do something that no one else has done on their debut in ARCS A2 competition. So a lot of drivers trying to deny Martinez that opportunity. Mongold comes across the line. 49.389, only good enough for 19th. Not a great run for the Dr. Pepper man. And from Dr. Pepper to Busch Light, we go to Seth Wansing, the Chevrolet, across the line. See where he sits up here, looking at the scoring loops and the speed trap that we have right now. Looking like a decent lap time so far.
Yep, trending rightward. Again, Wansing, another driver, as we've seen, kind of cut from the cloth of drivers that are willing to be aggressive on plate tracks. He'll be one of those drivers that will not be afraid to run a third line. That puts him in a contention to find victory lane. Again, Wansing had a rough year last year, dealt with connection issues, but it looks like it's all been squared away. We'll knock on wood real fast before I get any letters. We'll see if he can contend the full season here and try to rectify some wrongs from last year. Wansing comes off a 4 right now. He will be crossing the line. Then Brian Rupert will be the next car to start a flying lap. Cross the line, Wansing will go provisionally P4 in the number 5 machine. So he will also not guarantee himself a front row spot, But at the very least, again, trending in the right direction for a good starting spot in the duel.
So Wanzing top 4 at the moment. This is where we sort of get to break down sort of who is looking at what at the moment. For those unfamiliar with the duels at Daytona, we have 2 of them. If you're an odd number position right now, like Martinez, Braille, Morse, Knowlton, Dixon, you're in duel 1. Your race will be coming up first. If you're in the even numbers, like Hagen, Wanzing, Pressey, Stephen Oberstadt, and Tom Sears, you'll be in duel 2. You'll be at the end of the night. Duel 1 determines the inside lane for the Drip Diecast 500. Duel 2 determines the outside lane, just like how they're positioned right now. So, very important in that situation. Again, no matter what happens in the duels, those that qualify first and second in this session are locked in. So, still important to actually go through the qualifying. Those that are on the front row can take it a lot easier than everyone else here, which is why it's so important for someone like Martinez to try to hold on to that top spot, because it can change rapidly at Daytona. We've seen that so far, and you see the gaps from first all the way down through the top 20, less than a tenth and a half to go top to bottom, and that's going to narrow even more here as you see Brian Rupert at 49.402 is all he can muster here. Jonathan Adams coming around the back straightaway. He is on a lap now, trying to put that number 8 car near the front of the field as well.
He'll be on a good run as well, as he is going to get ready and fly. It should be worth noting as well, with penalties being included on these races where drivers in the heats can also get penalties, it does raise the question, if you are a front row starting spot driver, do you even attempt the main race? Because it almost feels like it's, because obviously you won't junk the car and go to a backup car and start in the back, but there is a risk where you could get a penalty if something goes wrong, and you could put yourself in a bad start to the season if that happens. But as Adams comes across the line now, 49.3 flat, good enough for P7. He'll split himself between Pressey and Knowlton, and that will put him in duel number 1 provisionally for now. There was still so many cars to go here just by the low numbers in the ranking. You will see that it will be a long time before we know exactly if he'll be in the Heat 1 or Heat 2.
Right now, we're looking at 7th place running car through qualifying. Not a bad run. Obviously, wish it could have been a little bit better. Elliot Longenecker, the 9 car for Chevrolet there and Sunday Money Racing. Gonna try to put that car a little bit forward. The Windy Chevrolet. Chevy Camaro right now rolling through turns 3 and 4. He is, I believe, beginning his lap time here, and Josh Battles behind him. Next up in line to set a qualifying time as we approach the 1 hour remaining mark here in qualifying. It's going to be a lot of time still. Obviously, 49 cars attempting to qualify. This is car 24. That is just at a lap time good enough for 14th. Car 25 to get us to the halfway point is Josh Battles in that 11 machine, as he crosses the line now in that throwback number 11 car. And he will begin his run with a little bit of latency. Not great. Latency on a qualifying run can be an absolute ender for his time, but as you can tell here, 6.475. He's another driver that had to cross start finish line to begin his run. So not a valid lap time there.
You are right indeed, and that is not going to be good for that Apple Cars machine. It's more latency plagues him right now, and that's also noteworthy. He can't get it fixed. Obviously, again, guaranteed spot as he is one of the 40 drivers in the teams, but still, it just sends a message to the field. They do not want to work with a car that is having latency issues, is having connectivity issues. It just sends the message that just either Race Tower will tell you, drop to the back till you can fix it, or they'll just kind of shuffle you out and you'll just have to ride. Regardless, it will be a not fun afternoon in the duels if he can't get that settled. But right now, at the very least, it's looking okay. So we'll see if it can at least hold. Maybe he was just having some slight hiccups with his connectivity.
So next up here is the 15 car, Matthew Kent. If he is on the racetrack, just making sure that is the case.
Not yet. Edward Marshall is currently on the track in the 16.
Edward Marshall on the racetrack. Gotcha.
Yep.
Oh, listen. Oh, so Matthew Kent's not racing. He is overseeing the qualifying procedure. So he is not racing tonight. He's already locked in.
Okay.
In that 15 car. So he is not racing tonight, it looks like.
Okay, so he will be provisionally, unless he decides to do the duel.
He hasn't loaded into the session yet. So Matthew Kent is loaded into the actual driver listing, so he will be running at some point, just not right now.
Maybe he'll go provisionally just last because obviously he's overseeing qualifying to make sure this goes smoothly, or maybe he'll just start last in Duel 2.
You start last in Duel 1 if he is if he decides he is just going to sit out. Edward Marshall 39.301 goes top 10, and again the top 10 getting very crowded at the top. So Marshall 8th fastest at the moment puts him right now 2nd row in Duel 2. But again, so much still left to really decide here. As we sort on down, I believe the next car running should be Kevin Feemster in the 17 machine. If we can.
Yep, Kevin Feemster out on track right now, and Peltier Sharp will be flanking his gunner, as she will be the other car in question behind. Obviously, Feemster, if you are a regular that tuned in the last 2 seasons, was running the 21. Now officially with new car numbers being assigned, he's elected to take the 17. Looks like his paint scheme isn't loading in per se, as he's got a bit of a different scheme from what I'm seeing on the broadcast. So we'll see if we can get that fixed for the duels or possibly in the 500. But he will come across the line now to start his run, and actually he will finish his run. My mistake. And it'll be good enough for P4. So a lot of these drivers filing in that crowded top 10, and just you can see by the times of the tenths that it's pretty close, but no one has been able to get that extra 2 tenths to jump Martinez Jr. at the moment. So Martinez Jr.'s time looking a lot more impressive as the run goes on here, almost like a chin that is yet to be cracked, to use a fighter cage terminology. But now we have Alyssa Peltier Sharp, or Lily Peltier Sharp, as she now is on her magical run as well. Next car will be Davey Hawk, but Sharp, obviously a Final Four driver last year. Highlights on the plate. Doesn't really have the most pedigree on the plate tracks. The only thing I can think of is a Truck Series top 3, but her strength really comes with the road courses and the short tracks. So we'll see exactly what she can do in this red and white number 18 machine.
Yeah, right now we are watching and waiting. Peltier Sharp coming across the line, 49.290.
Ooh.
Top 6. So getting more and more crowded here. Davey Hawk now on track. The next car just had a lap time here this time for, I believe this is Presidential Racing's Miller Lite Ford Mustang. And away we go. So Davey Hawk doing a really good job so far.
Davey Hawk, a round of 16 driver last year, was obviously a little bit smitten, or at least a little bit shocked he was not picked up in the draft, but luckily with some of the teams getting reshuffled and some drivers getting moved around, he ended up finding a full-time ride. He's going to kind of use this as maybe a chip on the shoulder as he now drives for Presidential to try to get himself a win this season and show, hey, if next year the draft comes around, make sure you take me in the first 40 picks. So he will also be flanked by Ross Baxter, who is now coming out of pit lane as we speak as well. But first, we'll finish up on the 21 of Hawk as he comes off of 4 into the trial now. Where will he slot? 21 will be good enough. Well, good enough for 11th. So just outside the top 10. And as now Ross Baxter comes to the trial as we speak now with a West Virginia-esque inspired scheme. He will now start his flying lap.
Ross Baxter back in the West Virginia Volunteers paint.
Well, not Volunteers, but
Mountaineers.
West Virginia, yeah, Mountaineers, but
I was confusing West Virginia for Tennessee.
Yeah. I think it is anyway. It's it is
Mountaineers. It says Tennessee Volunteers because we have too many college-based paints on ABN. I mix them together. We got the Buckeyes, we got the Bearcats, we got the Wolverines, Volunteers, Mountaineers.
You got to be careful because the colleges have their territories, and if you make a mistake, luckily West Virginia and Tennessee aren't rivals, but in certain areas and certain teams, you may end up getting chased out of the state if you make a crucial mistake like that.
You mean Georgia's catchphrase isn't Roll Tide?
No, it's not. No. I think Ryan Pinnell may be coming up here now, and look at Ross Baxter. Good lap there.
Good run. Almost dead even, too. 49.244. That is down to the milliseconds for the front row.
And he was our And he was our pole sitter last season, so this shows he's got the speed to put this car good. And right now he is tied with Martinez, so that will bump defending champion John Hagen out. He will have to go through the duels to keep his P3, and that will pivot us to Tommy Withers, who runs the 23, but looks like he's running the 43.
Not updated their information on this because the session still reads 23, although some paperwork shows 43, so they're still confusing. He typically does run the 23, but there seems to be some confusion as to if Withers or Toby Estes are actually running that 23 car this year, so they both currently have it.
Oh, good.
It's currently how it's listing at the moment. Ooh. With Baxter coming down pit lane, it forced Withers to jump up a lane. Not going to be great there. 49.269, and that could have cost him. That's a top 4 time right there. Having to deviate from the yellow line like that could be a big factor when you're talking about a game of inches. So that's not great.
Withers may have obviously can't really do anything about now, but could end up maybe taking a protest to control at the end of this race, saying that should have been off more or maybe more spacing. Who knows? But regardless, that will be just enough to affect Withers. He'll have to go through the duels to get a better spot or keep his spot. But if we see the next car filing on now, which should be trying to read my numbers here. Pinell, Joy, Cody Pinell, 28.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Obviously, I was going off the 43, but we just went through 23. So yeah, we're looking at. There he is. This Cody Pinell on pit lane right now. Unless they've halted the queue for a moment to allow for a little bit of a reset here.
Yeah, because the 26 is obviously Gones. He is going to be in point, and it looks like someone just flashed on. Oh, Steve Tucker, yeah. Steve Tucker is just finished his lap there. So Steve Tucker, 24. This is where it gets
interesting because of how many entries there are. There's people split in different sessions right now.
Yes.
So they're not all popping up here. So that was the 24 of Steve Tucker that just ran. The 25 should be Daniel Michel, and then you have Cody Pinell. So Cody Pinell running, but then there's also the 25 of Daniel Michel, who is also in the lobby here, and he is on track too. So this is Daniel Michel, and a paint scheme that, because he's not been a part of the same session, his paint hasn't loaded yet, but we saw Cody Pinell running. There's Daniel Michel with the paint that's loaded now.
And that is his paint, and the Killer Brownie. I'll be honest, I'm not 100% what it is, but regardless, it's a very interesting color palette here, as he now will come off with 3 and 4 here to put his lap in the books and slot himself in to a different show. Didn't actually get split in different heats like that for qualifying, as he comes across the line now, and that will be good enough for P8 for the 25 machine. So was noticing something with the weather there, as we saw previous cars go there. The wind was falling down to about maybe 2-3 mph, and it's really fluctuating at the moment between 2 and 7. Right now it's currently at 5, and like I was kind of talking about in the pre-race, a gust of wind can maybe make or break you depending on when it hits you and how strong it is. So right now currently went from 5 to 4 as Cody Pinell goes on, and when obviously we saw Baxter put down that great run there along with Withers, the wind was in a more favorable condition than it was for some other runs here. So sometimes it just comes down to the luck of the draw, where you may get favorable conditions or unfavorable conditions. And again, that could be the difference between locking a front row spot and guaranteeing yourself locking up the front row, or maybe if something goes bad in the duels, ending up in a worse spot than you would like to be. So is Cody Pinell now coming off a 4 as well. He will come across the line, and he will put that number 28 all-black machine in
49.30. It's 49.297. Give me 1 second. That does not crack the top 10.
Nope, 13th.
So then that leaves us with the 29 of Michael Joy.
Yeah, it's because of the different lobby rules. It makes it weird in a sense how cars just flip. But yeah, 29 up next.
So we saw Nathan run earlier. Nathan LaJoy did not set a great lap time. Only good enough for 29th place so far. Mike LaJoy, one of the locked-in cars. This time going to try to run and get a good lap time going.
Don't see that every day. The Hartford Whalers affected paint scheme. Obviously, former NHL franchise with a great goal song, as he will now attempt to finish a run here and try to get himself in that Hartford Whalers machine to the front row here. So as he comes off a 4, heading down the long straight here, coming through the tri-oval, can he bump the 48 or the 22 off provisional pole? He will. Yes, he will. He'll bump Ross Baxter.
He didn't bump Martinez off. Martinez hanging off for dear life, but now it's a 3-way, almost straight duel at the front, down to millisecond differences here. Same lap time as Ross Baxter too. And again, just kind of browsing, looking up at Nicholas Martinez, 5 milliseconds separating him from a tie at the front of the field. So that is how close it is right now. It is a very tight contest here, as now I believe Zach Millett is the next one to run in that 31 machine.
As some would say right now, possibly the villain of the series, and some would also say the best chance to take the fight to John Hagen. He will start his quest to maybe redeem the wrongs of Vegas last year, where he got unlucky and couldn't put himself in the Final Four with his new team, Bowie Esports. As he comes off a 3 and 4 right now in that number 31. Obviously, right now, again, conditions were great for some of these cars here. Can he get on that same leash here and be able to bump Martinez off pole or LaJoie off the front row across the line? Only good enough for P5.
Right there
he will be,
Hagen.
Basically in a dead tie with Withers and Hagen, as they will both be 4th, 5th, and 6th, all within a similar bracket of a 49.265.
So up next then would be Riley Mauricio, who is another rookie that we just haven't had a chance to designate as a rookie in our timing screen yet. But Mauricio, who also tried to qualify for the Winston 400 back in January, did not successfully do so. Making his return now as a full-time driver in that 32 car for SRD Motorsports, representing John Smeal and Smeal Racing Designs. As you can see on the side pod of that car, side pod as if it's a Champ Car machine. Mauricio on a time at the moment. Dale Markowski following him in the 33, and then you'll have the 34 of Brandon Fetterplace up next on the list. But we've gotten through 36 cars, so we're almost through single car qualifying here in Daytona. Mauricio, looking at his lap time here, it's not going to be a bad time at all. Top 4 for Mauricio, again, just 200 shy. 49.261 for the rookie. Dale Markowski. Another Taco Bell scheme. For Black Acid Racing, excuse me, not for B-Tron. Taco Bell, the empire's expanding. Liv Mas, Dale Markowski trying to do that with Black Acid Racing.
I mean, to be fair, Taco Bell did win the food wars in Demolition Man, so maybe it's a bit fitting that they have a bunch of cars sponsored in tonight's festivities.
This car in particular has a lot of teeth on it. Must be some of the IMSA cars that we see right now with Roxy and Rexy and the dinosaur cars for AO Racing right now.
Makes it competitive.
And this is where Markowski's also really strong too. The 33 car, really good at these restrictor plate type races here. Markowski.
Ooh, another situation there where sub 32 kind of close to the line.
I don't really like the thought of that. That seems very litigious.
Well, it didn't affect Markowski's. He'll bump LaJoie down. Obviously, if there
Markowski
was
front row.
Yeah, no real movement of the wheel, so it shouldn't affect his lap too much. But again, that will put the 33 on the front row, and now that will open the curtain for the 34 of Brandon Featherplace. Final 4 driver the last 2 seasons in that Ghost machine, but has yet to find victory lane in over about a year and a half since Worldwide Techway Gateway, basically, about a year and a half ago, looking again to find victory here this season, the 2025 campaign. Obviously, last year did not even attempt the 500, as he was not part of the drivers' festivities till about week 8. So, first time back here since 2023, looking to maybe get a competitive time here, now being the team owner of Bowie Esports. So as he comes off through 3 and 4 right now, trending rightward right now, at the very least, looking at the times in question, is looking decent. Can he bump Martinez or Markowski off the front row? Across the line, the Toyota will go only P8. So he'll be in the bracket with his teammate Millett, and they will both be 7th, 8th provisionally as we speak. And more importantly, they will also be in separate duels regardless of how it shakes up. Well, actually, if someone splits them, could make a difference. But provisionally right now in separate duels. And that will now take us to the 38 of Chris Fleming in the Airheads machine. He will be the first of two, with Colin McDonough in the number 39 will be behind him as well.
Yep, Fleming, McDonough. And scrolling down through, I believe we're looking next one on the board will be Albert George in the 40, and then David right after that. So getting down to nearly the final 10 here. I believe we've actually ended up reaching 50 cars on qualifying day here.
Yeah, my count took us to 52. Yeah, I believe I counted 52 before this started here, and we'll do a quick check again here. Fleming will go 49.278, good enough for 12th. So it's McDonough. Ooh, I wonder if, did he just... No, okay, he was just running close to the wall there. Thought he almost hit the wall, but McDonough will now start his flying lap. But Fleming will go P12, and McDonough will now start his run for glory here. But as we do a quick count here.
12th fastest there. McDonough on his lap now, and Elvis George is now beginning his run. We are, I believe, 53 cars.
Yep, 53 cars. So we have 53 cars and 14 open.
So McDonough, one of those that are locked in here. Just where is he going to start the Drip Diecast 500 in 2 weeks? As it rolls through the banking at the moment, through 3 and 4. To complete his lap, his first attempt at the season opener here for the A-Square Cup Series season. Across the line, McDonough goes only 31st fastest. That is a 49.356. Ours George up next, the Bahama Boss. Not under the American flag. That is a bit of an error there, but the Bahama Boss, Ours George.
Weird seeing him not in a Pennzoil scheme here, running the Jimmy John's number 40 here. Real fast, just want to note on McDonough, I did look back, and it looks like he got a little twitchy coming to the line there to start his flying, so that could be why he is a little bit further down the timetable than he would probably like to be. But anyway, Alfred George no longer also driving Presidential Racing, so basically, other than keeping the same number, new colors, and new team, he will be officially driving for here. Now, obviously, instead of Pennzoil, it's now Freaky Fast. Can that 40 be Freaky Fast enough to put himself in the provisional front row? So as he comes off of 4 now, the number 40 machine will slot himself provisionally P number. He comes across the line.
49.308, enough for 22nd at the moment. Not a bad lap time, not a bad run there. We'll see what David Wright can do. Coming across the line now in that 42 car. Also a little bit of a different look here for him. Away from the Budweiser 42 we saw last year, and now towards the Sherwin-Williams design here. A little bit of red, white, and blue action still going on that 42 car.
Obviously, we also saw him in the Texas Pete schemes as well. That there was a hot sauce.
Yeah, the red, black, and yellow car. Yeah.
Now, again, Sherwin-Williams, red, white, and blue, actually pretty clean scheme regardless. Obviously, for those that remember, Sherwin-Williams was a sponsor in the old NASCAR games as well, so definitely deck out one of the fantasy cars with that same Sherwin-Williams look. Honestly, probably could make that paint scheme in those old NASCAR games. But instead of reminiscing on the past, let's focus on the present here as David Wright comes through the travel now. Can he put himself front row? Cross the line, P5 for the number 42 machine, and he will, at the very least, possibly stay in the top 10 as we only have less than 10 cars to go here, so is looking good. He will stay in the top 10, but obviously could still be at a risk getting bumped out, but still, good run for the 42, and that will move us on nicely to the 47 of Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence, as he will be the next car to run. Quite fitting. Obviously, it looks like we have different schemes here. It looks like he's running... On my screen, he's running a Bob's Burgers machine, which fits with the nickname. On your screen, though, it looks like he's running something different. But regardless, we'll see if it's fast enough to get himself in the provisional front row.
All right, now Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence, right now part of the Carolina Beagle Racing Squadron there, running the team paint there that we saw last weekend as well. See what Lawrence can do. Coming across the start-finish line here for Lawrence. 49.218, new provisional pole position. Oh, Michael Lawrence.
Smashed it.
And that now makes Nicholas Martinez Jr. sweat a little bit. He was sitting comfy for so long, and now you have some question marks. Michael Lawrence, 49.218, absolutely cleared him by 2/10. Fastest run we've seen so far today. And 2/hundredths of a second is a mile here at Daytona with how close everyone is. You look at the separation there in the top 20, less than a tenth, all the way down to 26th place.
Yeah,
that's how close it is. Josh Gaiman will have to try to slot himself near the front of the field in that 61 car. But the pressure has been amped up. Michael Lawrence now needing someone to respond and also lock into the front row for Martinez to have to be right now in the racing spots. Right now as it sits, it's 2 open spots that are up for grabs unless Martinez gets dropped, in which case all 3 end up being up for grabs. So this is super important. Here is the 61. This is another one of the Dirty Air Motorsports cars, Feemster's team. This is the paint that we couldn't see Feemster run earlier, but we are seeing it with Josh Gaiman's machine.
It'd be noteworthy as well. Sears bringing up a good point, obviously, in the iRacing chat here. Tap temp has went down 4 degrees since first qualifier, so the track is getting cooler. So we'll see what effect that plays. So Gaiman and Kerr, obviously Gaiman on his flying right now, Kerr just leaving the pit lane. So they will be the next 2. But right now, as we count and as we see, we have 8 cars left to try to bump Lawrence or Martinez off the front row. Now Gaiman, obviously a 2-time first overall draft pick. Can he get, with his new team, Dirty Air Motorsports, bring a little bit of bright spot to the team and the new team in question, get them a provisional pole? As he comes across the line now, where will Gaiman slot? Gaiman will be, 43rd. That is not something you see very often for that number 61 machine.
It genuinely is not. 43rd, he is going to be near the very back of whatever duel he's in. He is 4th slowest so far. James Kerr just now beginning his qualifying run, so Josh Gaiman not in a great position right now. Again, Gaiman's locked in, so there's not a lot of pressure on him to go out and have to win his duel, but you still want to have a decent starting position for the Drip Diecast 500, and right now that is not the case. Just looking at the fastest times here in qualifying, 43rd fastest. He's got some work to do. James Kerr hoping he has a lot less work to do in that 75 machine, the leader for Black Acid Racing, as he comes out of 4 to set his lap time here, a little off the yellow line. Comes through the tri-oval this time. Not going to be, I think, a super fast time, and it's not 45th. So I think the track temps cooled down, but not having the wind speed giving you a tailwind at a turn 2 is not helping either. And that does not bode well for those that also still have to go later on, like Christian Angel on your screen beginning his run. You still have Bren Roberts, Vincenzo Iacovazzi, who's about to join the track now, the 77, Ethan Wood, and Jared Newton.
Yeah, track time's fluctuating a lot here, so
yes,
we'll have to see on regard if, again, how affects that plays. But right now it is going to be Rowdy, Vincenzo will be the next 2 in question, and after that, just for those in the know, it will be Roberts, Wood, and Newton, along with possibly Matthew Kent, remain to go here. So another car just finished up their lap indeed. Now we got Christian Angel coming off of 3 and 4. Where can that Miller Lite 76 put themselves? Coming down through the tri-oval, will the trend continue and show maybe doom and gloom for the high number cars? Well, he jumped somewhere. Looks like he jumped the 20th. So P20 for the number 76.
Christian Angel up to the 20th position. Vincenzo Iacovazzi, 2nd last week in the clash. Running a Sopranos number 77 machine. Fantastic. As he begins his run. And Bren Roberts now joins the racetrack to begin his qualifying effort. And then it'll leave us 2, maybe 3 cars left to run if Matthew Kent runs dead last here. And if that's the case, Matthew Kent's not going to have a great time looking at how the lap times have trended so far. We'll see how it stands here with Yakavazi rolling through turns 3 and 4 now.
Very fun, because look at the scheme kind of eyeing it. It's got all the great Sopranos memes on the back, like Vito's house and the Gabagoo and all that. So definitely decked out with love Sopranos scheme. As he comes across the line now, where can Vincenzo put it?
387, 45th,
Yeah.
another bad time. Christian Angel showing to be the anomaly of these last 4 runners so far. Bren Roberts running very up on the outside lane, trying to get as much momentum as possible to start his lap time. See what he can do in that Sheets number 84. A little bit of Sheets, a little bit of Coca-Cola. Got the polar bear on the side as well.
Regardless, if you're Martinez right now, you are basically taking a big sigh of breath right now.
You're taking a deep breath here, because there is not too many cars that can deny you a chance to lock in at this point. It does look really good right now for the 48 to have one of those 3 open spots secured.
Any driver that can maybe averse these bad conditions, Bren Roberts is definitely a driver I'd have on that names list. Obviously, one Talladega, obviously different, same plate track, different location. So he knows how to get around these high banks as well. Coming across the line now, Roberts, can he buck the trend? He can only get it up to 30th, 49.33. So it looks like it's doom and gloom for the rest of this field here, as we have 2 cars to go, plus Matthew Kent, if he elects to go.
Doom and gloom is all relative compared to what the alternative would have been for these open cars. If the open cars had to go last,
that
would have been dramatic.
Yeah, none of them would have made it in, obviously, by locking out.
Yeah, some of those that came in earlier, obviously you see Michael Lawrence, he didn't run too long ago. The opportunity would have been there, but obviously now you're looking at cars that would have been lower in the ordeal here. Mark Deal would have not had a chance. If you look at where he's at, obviously he's still 44th as it stands, but it'd be even less favorable now.
Even for Martinez as well, because if you think about it, he would have been like 50-ish, like late 40s range.
47th, yeah. He would have been
and this
in line.
Would have been right where Gaiman is and right where the others, he would have not been on the front row. So again, thanking his lucky stars, the open cars ran first. Those Wood comes across the line now.
Another bad run, 47th.
He's 47th, and that leaves us with the last car here. If Matt Kent elects to run it, Jared Newton, Mr. Irrelevant, number 99 in a U-Haul paint scheme here, comes across the line, his Ford.
A lot if he's gonna have a chance to get anywhere close to the front row here. Newton on a lap time at the moment. Let's see what the 99 car can bring. I'll be honest with you, this is the first time I realized that U-Haul had orange as a part of its color scheme.
Yeah.
So that was a sponsor opportunity I didn't realize we could pursue for AVN.
Yeah, I mean, you could also do King Hawaiian Rolls as another one.
Yeah, let me ask them after they bowed out of racing. Let me go ahead and do that real quick.
I mean, hey, wing and a prayer at the very least. But there's a lot of orange throughout a lot of different companies. It's not like a purple or something where you'd have to go bug the estate of Prince to get them purple ring.
Doing a good job here. This is not going to look like a great lap time, but just what is it like compared to some of the others around him here? 26. That's not a bad time given what we just saw, so that will work out pretty well. And just checking to make sure Matthew Kent's not populated. He is populated, so he will run. Very last car, that 15 Chevrolet.
I think you'll love this scheme, Carmen. Take a look at the hood.
Let's not talk about my trip to Texas and my coronation and my moment with Bucky the Beaver 2 years ago. I could go on a podcast rant with how much I saw Bucky's advertisements outside the state of Texas.
I mean, I saw the only one in Florida when I went to Daytona last year, and yeah, it's a very great place, very fun location. Definitely got some great food. But Matthew Kent, obviously the Texas driver, rocking the Bucky scheme here. He will be last car, but with the conditions being not the greatest, I think Matthew Kent maybe getting a little bit sad that he couldn't go in his provisional order, because he's obviously the one controlling qualifying. So he elected to go provisional P53 just to ensure qualifying went off great, and his reward is going to be not so favorable conditions. At the very least, though, he is locked in, and the law of A squared will at least have a spot in the for the greatest race of them all. But where he'll be in the duels is up for continuation. So can he, in some Hail Mary throw here, bump Martinez out the open car, or will it be Lawrence and Martinez locking out the front row of the 500? Across the line now, it's going to be P27 for Matthew Kent, just behind Jarrett Newton. And if you're right now a Nicholas Martinez fan, you take a deep breath. He will take one of the open spots, but more importantly, Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence, second to last pick in the draft. Well, he doesn't have to worry much anymore. He is going to be the pole sitter for the greatest race of them all, as he will take the top spot, and he is definitely going to be one happy cheeseburger smiling from ear to ear.
Yeah, big time deal here in qualifying. But that'll round us off here for JTT pole qualifying for the Drip Diecast 500. And we're going to move on to the duels here. We've got two of them lined up here, and we'll go over the starting grid here in just a moment, but it will be Michael Lawrence and Nicholas Martinez locked into the spots. Two open spots now up for grabs, and it is the best finishers in the duels, where they place. They could both be in the first duel here if it works out that way, or it could be both in the outside duel. It's just wherever you place. That's what matters the most so far. So it's time to let the games begin, I do believe, at this point in time. All the cars lined up on pit lane. It's a very busy pit lane here, and it's about to get a lot busier on the racetrack here. Two duels coming up here for the Better Place Waste Management Daytona Duels in Daytona, qualifying for the Drip Diecast 500 for the 7-Bar Barbecue A² Cup Series season. For everyone tuning in to ABN, as our coverage begins this year in earnest, we hope you're enjoying. A lot of racing yet to come. Two 30-lap duels coming up here very shortly for this event. I believe they're going over some of the protocols there. Everyone stayed above the yellow line here. Remember, it's going to be even more important in the duels. Every instance of going below the yellow line is a 5-point penalty. You can't afford to do too many of that, especially here at Daytona. Everyone trying now to make it into the show or lock in their starting spots for the show. We know 2 of the 43 spots, the remaining 41. We still got to sort out here as everyone gets ready to go. 53 drivers attempting to vie for 43 spots. It's exciting. The anticipation is building here. Dale Markowski, Michael Lawrence still be leading the field to green in Duel 1. Nicholas Martinez Jr. and Mike LaJoy will lead the field to green in Duel 2 later on tonight.
As chat is going crazy for Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence getting pole. Obviously, Martinez kind of said in the chat he felt like that was going to be a blistering lap, and it showed. But yeah, everyone very happy that Cheeseburger Lawrence got that pole position, and you definitely know all smiles in the chat. But as you can see right here, the unofficial pole, actually I would say official results here at the very least for qualifying. Lawrence and Martinez, front two. They will be guaranteed. We'll obviously see if they want to participate in the heats or not. That's up to them, but they will have a guaranteed front row spot for the main festivities. Then obviously Markowski will be front row for duel number 1, and Michael Joy will be front row for duel number 2. And see the rest: Baxter, Wright, Murciano, Hagan, Millett, Featherplace, Withers, and Brayout with the next 10 cars and how they sort out. Obviously, again, evens will be in Duel 2, odds will be in heat number 1, or Duel 1, I should say. So that's how they will all fire out as we're waiting for the last little bit of festivities here. The guys race control goes through and gives some last-minute instructions before we get ready for heat number 1.
Yeah, obviously very exciting going into this event. One of the best times of the year. It's very exciting all the way through. Looking further down in the results order here, this is 13th to 24th. Kevin Feemster, Chris Fleming, Seth Wansing, Daniel Michelle, Steve Tucker, Patrick Oberstadt, Lily Pelletier Sharp, Christian Angel, Connor Morris, Nick Pressey, Cody Pinnell, and Jonathan Adams further down the order here. But again, 53 cars attempting to qualify for this event. Edward Marshall in the 16 car alongside Jared Newton, the 99. Matthew Kent, Irish George, Davey Howe, Connor Knowlton, Stephen Oberstadt, Bren Roberts, Brian Dixon, Tom Sears, Matt Vorndren, Chris Gones, Elliot Longenecker. You've got Josh Battles, Colin McDonough, Bradley Wright, Brian Johnson, Ryan Pinnell in 42nd, Alfie Sharon Jr., Nathan LaJoy. A lot of the cars not locked in here now, but down below 40th place. They've got a lot of work to do in the duels. John Smeal, Mark Dila, Josh Gaiman, Vincenzo Iacovazzi, and then the final 5, Ethan Wood, Austin Mongold, James Kerr, Brian Rupert, and Marshall Harris to kick us through qualifying here. Everyone just sort of taking the chance now to reset here as a little bit of a break begins. And here we go. Now we begin to enter the duel. Duel 1 set to begin here shortly. Gonna be a lot of fun to get things underway.
You can say that again, as now obviously conditions a bit different. Sun is setting as both duels will be under the sunset here as cars get all nice and lined up here. It's going to be, with obviously the field plays off, 27 cars here in heat number 1. We'll go over those drivers here as we take a second to get the graphic up on the screen. We'll see it now. Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence and obviously not Nicholas Martinez will be in row number 1.
This is obviously about to go to the ticker because obviously it's not ready for the actual duel format here. Not used to the split race format there. But you see, as it scrolls through, you'll see the 27 cars that are in duel 1 fighting for 22 starting places here. Again, Michael Lawrence already locked in. The question is who will join him in being punched into the Drip Diecast 500 in 2 weeks. Markowski, Baxter, Mauricio, that's your top 4, your first 2 rows. Zach Millett and Tommy Withers in row number 3. Kevin Feemster, Seth Wansing in row 4. Then it is Steve Tucker and Lily Pelletier Sharp in row number 5. As the field begins to roll off pit lane, and all eyes turn to Michael Lawrence as the field gets ready to roll.
Just trying to take a cat count here just to make sure how many heat cars we have in this field right now.
Yeah, 27, it'll be 27 and 26 total between the 2 duels.
And I'm just seeing how many open cars we have. It looks like we will have, at the very least, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the open cars in this field. Ethan Wood, John Smeal, Connor Morse, Alfred Sharon, Marshall Harris, and Brian Johnson will be the open cars in duel number 1. Tom Sears, Briley Wright, Nicholas LaJoy, Nicholas Pressey, and Chris Gones will be in duel number 2. So overall, a even split between 1 and 2. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 6 and 6. So it's a nice split. So overall, we'll have to see how it goes, but they'll be split evenly here. And the question is, 2 spots up for grabs with Martinez taking one of those seats at the table. We'll have to note where the 2 highest finish, and we'll see aggressive racing, because if you're the third driver in line in the heat number 1, you're at the very least, only thing if you miss it, you just got to hope heat 2 is a little bit more chaotic and you can be maybe the first alternate should a driver not make it to the great race in 2 weeks' time.
So 27 cars, all of them fighting for spots here. Make up the field for the race in 2 weeks' time. It is Lawrence and Markowski front of the field. Baxter, Mauricio, Millett, Withers, Feemster, Wansing, Sharp, and Tucker. Your top 10 to kick this race off. Big checkup already. That was on the inside lane. Connor Morse got checked up big time. But away we go.
So as lap 1 comes across the line in the books, it will be the number 32 coming across with Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence following in tow with Baxter, Millet, and Feemster. Your first 5 cars right now on that low line. As seems the driver's taking it a bit easy here, not overly pushing. As you can see on the high line right now, it's Markowski and I believe the 43, technically 23 of Withers being the cars there, but it looks like Withers just jumped back in line. So Markowski being the lone soldier on the high side, trying to get charging forward here. It's getting a little help. Looks like Sharp now helping up and pushing there, along with one of the car there, trying to
James
push.
Kerr. That is James Kerr, 75, and I believe that's Cody Pinnell in the, sorry, Davey Houck in the 21. Also in line there on the outside, but again, very little help. Stephen Overstat jumping up ahead. Trying to get things hooked up, but will not be easy.
It will not. Oh, another car jumping up. That's the 24 machine of Steve Tucker. He went up there, and that checked him up a little bit, as he was not going to miss the last train, the Baltimore. He is now up there on the high side as well, leaving a big gap. Usually when holes are that big, drivers elect to maybe jump back down. Looks like no one will get that opportunity. Field will sink back up there, and we'll close that hole. So now Tucker gambling on that high line as more cars now slowly migrate to that high line. Question is, they move further up the line. Question of the day becomes, will anyone elect to join and maybe try to push forward here? Or do they feel comfortable riding on the low line? Because with how the duels shake up, unless you're an open car, you don't really need to be as aggressive as you want, because at the end of the day, you can really win almost anywhere in the 500, but it's a lot better chances if you're closer to the front, because you obviously get a better pit stall rather than being further back. And it looks like one car getting shuffled out. It will be Steve Tucker, as they look like they no longer want to work with him. He'll get sucker hold. He will head to the back of the line, giving control back to the 3, and one car will jump up right in line. It's the 49 machine. Connor Morris, one of the open cars, he will now jump to that high line and will lead the outside line.
Big time run at the moment. Down the order. Still single file. First 5 cars on the inside lane.
One car.
Ratio and Lawrence right now leading the way.
One car has, I believe, either started in the pit lane or lost the draft. Alfie Sharon Jr., one of the open cars. He is about half a track back right now. Unless we get a caution, he looks like he will be not in a good spot to make it through. But obviously, things can happen. Things can change. So do not count out that 07 yet. But right now, he is pretty much alone. And like you were saying, Carmen, looks like a second kind of contingency of Dixon, Smeal, Johnson, Wood, Harris, and Longenecker are within a second pack here, further away. There's a lot of open cars in that second groove as well. Obviously, Smeal, Johnson, Wood, and Harris. So it really brings down the contingency of open cars in this top pack, making it a bit easier for those cars in question. But also, if the open cars in Heat 1 finish poorly, it allows more of an opportunity for the drivers in Heat 2 to make a run. But knowing how these races do play out, I think that second groove of a lot of open cars is just like, look, let's just keep the car clean and give myself a chance to fight with maybe 10 or 5 laps to go if that caution comes. But the question is, if ifs and buts were candy nuts, every day would be Christmas, and there's no guarantees that would happen. Lap 7 in the books right now. 32 has led all of the laps so far. Lauren's been pushing him quite comfortably, as that inside line has dominated these opening 7 laps.
And again, 30 laps here in the duel. That means there's a pit stop guaranteed. It's somewhere between lap 18 and lap 21 is what we were looking at earlier. Numbers still look pretty well accurate for them. So we'll stick with that at the moment unless we feel like that needs to change. But everyone knows that there's a pit stop coming. And if a caution were to come out right now, it'd be a really awkward position to be in.
Yeah. There would be some saving and some coasting to try to make that number work here.
Remember that there are unlimited green, white, checkered attempts as well.
And it does also look like drivers do have one fast repair at the troubles if they need it. So there is also that other safety net as well, as A Squared believes is still in the rulebook, will run a fast repair at every track this season. So they will always have one in their back pocket. But at the very least, they will have them for the plate tracks, as that is usually staple for most leagues. So anyway, low line still dominating. Now the high line has a new leader. It will be the 17, Kevin Feemster, as he is getting some assistance, I believe, from two white and blue machines. Tommy Withers and Seth Wanzing will now be the two cars piloting that high line. And if you're looking for drivers you want on that high line, you can look no worse than Withers and Wanzing in this duel, as they are get-up-and-go drivers that know how to kind of bootstrap a line and dictate them to get them a little bit faster.
Yeah, not a bad group down the outside lane. Obviously, you've got Withers there in that Tide machine, that 43 numbered car, 23 on our overlay. He knows what it's like to win here at these plate tracks as well. Seth Wanzing as well, no stranger to him. Used to being usually on the other side at the end of these races. Can't help but think of a couple years ago, first time he raced at the Reef configured Atlanta. He was 300 feet from winning the race, got turned, and ended up finishing in 16th. It was a really rough time there for Wanzing that
car on the wall in the
year.
back. Can't see who it is. One car incident.
Car in
Trying
the
to see.
back, that is Ethan Wood. 88.
Ethan Wood. Big damage there. Obviously, he kept it straight, so no caution will be called, but you can see that right front is heavily damaged. That wheel is not spinning. That is going to have to be, at the very least, a slow drive around here, possibly even a tow if it really goes out of whack. But that is going to be a fast repair burn for Ethan Wood. And since he is an open car, at the very least, if we don't get a caution soon here, he will go one down, along with probably
a lot of trouble.
Yeah, along with Alfie Sharon Jr., as he's about to be probably at a couple laps, put a lap down too. So two open cars struggling here early, and it looks like unless things change quick, they will probably be watching the Big 500 on the couch in a couple weeks' time. But obviously things can change quickly, so we'll have to see. As still the 88 has not made a pit lane yet.
So right now, with the limited amount of cars that are not on the lead lap, definitely changes some things. A lot of shuffling going on further forward as the inside lane continues to pull away a little bit.
Woods has successfully made it to pit lane, so no caution will be officially called. He will eventually get in his box here and burn a fast break. One positive, I guess, at the very least, is he just missed his boxes. That's obviously his final pit stop. So in turn, if caution does come out and he can get the free pass, he will not have to come down like the rest of the field will, depending on how it shakes out, as he's now officially left his box. So 20 laps to go. Ricciano is leading the way with Lawrence. Highline now still getting some more momentum here. They're slowly chipping away, but every time it seems like they're getting a couple inches, they seem to lose that same momentum, as it seems like it's 2 steps forward, 1.5 steps back, as they're just slowly moving. And now they'll have to navigate around the 07 machine, who obviously is not in any position to really yield. He can kind of ride where he wants to ride. He will elect to stay to the wall here, meaning that high line will have to go in the middle to successfully navigate around that 07 machine, presumably giving that time loss a little bit more to that high line.
Ratio continues to lead. Alfie Sharon Jr. now the first car officially a lap down. Ethan Wood a lap down as well.
Ooh.
Sharon, if a caution does come out, Sharon would be the first car to get the free pass unless the caution happens right in front of him. That was a huge checkup on the inside lane. That was Tucker, Sharp, and Marshall that all bobbled a little bit there, middle of the inside lane. Everyone trying to mind their P's and Q's. Let the top three continue to do their work. Top three of Mauricio, Lawrence, and Baxter. And obviously we talked about the possibility that Lawrence would just kind of back away and sit back here a little bit. Now he's got pole position. You don't want to accrue any penalties either.
Pit stops here.
Right here, and here we go.
Yeah, Wanzing, Feemster, and Withers will hit the pit lane along with Long and Necker. So it looks like Sunday Monday Racing, this is their key lap. They want to come in, and it looks like they all ran for the door here.
So this makes sense.
Yep, that is just confirming that is all the Sunday Monday Racing cars here, if I can find my list here. Yep, Wanzing, Marshall, Longenecker, Withers. Yep, all Sunday Monday Racing. Kind of coincidental, they all caught in the same lobby, all in duel one, so kind of helping each other out here. They all know when to come in. They all know how to work together. One of the few teams actually ended up getting all their drivers in one duel, so overall a net positive for them. They will all successfully leave here, but looks like a little bit of misconfusion, as it looks like Edward Marshall sped on pit lane. So Marshall It's going to be a long hold here, so he will not be able to join out here. He will now go one down, and will take him out of contention for a decent finish, obviously bearing a caution, possibly get a free pass.
And remember, that was just a group of a handful of four cars that came down pit lane together.
Oh, and Longenecker also took 4 tires as well, so that really got bungled there.
Yeah, they really messed things up there with that pit stop. First time making a pit stop there as a team under genuinely serious conditions. Obviously, the clash, we were kind of all over the place with the heats and then the consolation and then the actual main event. So not everyone was on the same page there, not everyone had a chance to really be on the same page there. Now everyone's trying to dial in, and we're seeing some of the teething issues that they'll have to deal with. Obviously, they'll have a week off next week for the big game, but they'll have to use some of that time, some of these 14 days, to get on the same page and coordinate a little bit better.
On the bright side, at the very least, it's better to have the mistakes now in the clash where there's nothing really on the line other than a starting spot, rather than the greatest race of them all in 2 weeks' time. So as the 9 will now go one down. The thing is, Sharon is in this pack, so he will have to get kind of lunged up quickly. So you'll see Sharon go right on the high side right there, second car in line. So he will have to get linked up here quickly and get racing if he wants to stay in that free pass contingency. But only 4 cars have elected to pit. Other than that, though, everyone else still going the long way here, as we are now officially past halfway this time by. 14 laps to go here. Ricino has been leading every lap so far with Lawrence in tow. The question is, we know the windows possibly run 18 to 22 laps. Makes you wonder, when eventually will they elect to blink here?
Magic question that we're not going to have an answer to for another couple laps. Sunday Monday Racing, they chose the earliest opportunity to come down pit lane, and it did not work well for them. But it could also work out poorly for this lead group that will have to break off into different groups to make that pit stop. We've seen some hiccups as the lead pack is fragmented before here at Daytona. So it can go either way.
Another pack has lost touch again here, now led by Josh Gaiman in a 61 machine. I believe that is Gaiman. Actually, I don't think Gaiman's even in this heat, but they are led by a pack further back there. So they've lost a little bit of touch. Yeah, it was Gaiman. They have lost touch.
Josh Gaiman 61.
Yep, lost the touch to the pack here. So Gaiman in tow has now lost a little bit of touch here, and they'll have to try to get caught back up here. A couple open cars in that group as well. Again, could be doom and gloom, depending on how it all shakes out. But still, Ricino, Lawrence, Baxter, Millett, Feems are your top 5. It's all patiently riding here, playing it smart and playing it safe. And it's considering almost all of them are on the low side here, except for 2 of them. I'm going to guess here in the next lap or 2, we will start hearing.
Far away, no.
Yeah, I think they'll be calling out pit stops here in the next lap or 2. And looks on the speak of the devil, and it will appear the 49 coming in next time by Connor Morse. So he will elect to come in with the first one to blink. And in turn, Ops currently sitting in P12. Question is, I'm assuming he'll probably take his pack mates with him. Markowski also going to be coming in to 33. The leader will be coming in. So at the very least, Black Acid's probably coming in this time by, along with, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cars. I've already heard say it so far. Add 10. So it's going to be crowded. Maybe this is the advantage you can say the Sunday Monday Racing cars has. They came in on an uncrowded pit lane, and it's going to be very, very crowded here. Leaders all pulling off right now. You can see it's legitimately almost everyone. Handful of cars will elect to stay out, and this is where you do not want to speed. Some lockups, 19 locked up. Ross Baxter locked up a bit, but they all got it woed down. All in all, it was the equivalency of about 16 cars all hitting the pit lane here in succession. Only Colin McDonough, Matthew Kent, Steve Tucker, and Alyssa Pelletier-Sharp all stayed out here. And the 31 of Millett missed his box. That could put him in a bad spot. Fuel only for most, some taking 4 tires. And it looks like Baxter will be the first one to leave pit lane successfully. So it's Baxter, Lawrence, and Ricino, first 3 out of pit lane. But now we watch this group, and they should be coming in this time by, as Matthew Kent's on the horn, and he is bringing in his teammates, and in turn the rest of this pack here, including Sharon Jr., as they will be the next contingency to pit here. They will head on in. More importantly, as I keep an eye on the backstretch here, looks like the lead will end up going back to Ross Baxter and Machino, as the Sunday Monday Racing contingency will not get lined up. They were not able to make that undercut work as they lost a lot of their foot soldiers, and they will in turn not be in contention here in this front pack of, at the moment, 7 cars, depending on where Matthew Kent's contingency can link up here.
Now we got different groups fragmented here. Makes a caution a little bit more difficult, but not impossible. Definitely still could see a yellow late on. 10 laps to go in the duel.
Keep an eye on, there's up in that little front pack there. That's Sharp, Kent, Tucker, and McDonough. They came out with a good gap here, so they will put themselves in a shot to race for this win here, as they are still well clear. So the overcut worked out for them. They got that extra lap on speed, less crowded pit lane. They were able to take advantage of it. They will get caught by this little contingency of 7 as they're split between 2 cars of 2. But overall, though, net gain for Sharp, Kent, Tucker, and McDonough. None of them are open cars, though. Let's keep an eye with 9 laps to go. Who is the first 2 open cars? My count is correct.
Right now, you're looking at Connor Morris, and I believe John Smeal would be the next one.
Yep, and John Smeal is in a big pack with a bunch of other open cars, so
yeah, he is.
Connor Morris.
Trouble!
Oh, car flipping,
huge
that's
trouble.
gaming.
That is Smeal, that is Smeal and Dixon.
Smeal and Dixon, yellow flag is out.
Huge crash. Yellow flag, obviously, as you saw there, did come out. Smeal's car completely destroyed, obviously up and over. Edward Marshall, I think, was checking up, trying to avoid all of that. But a huge crash, and that caution we thought would possibly wouldn't happen. Turns out it happened in a hurry, and it happened in a violent way. Markowski looked like he also got a piece of it as well. Let's see if we can grab a replay of the crash this became. This is John Smeal we're looking at right now. He's where he started, but not in the same way the condition was. And you see Smeal, this is a very bizarre place to lose the car here. Let's see if we can rewind it just for a second. Oh, this is where it gets really ugly.
Yeah.
Okay, so
obviously Smeal was next car in line on open transfer, and you can see right now pushing Gaiman and getting help there by, I believe that is Zach Millett. It is Zach Millett. Yeah. And you can already see some trouble right there, as it doesn't look like Gaiman and Smeal are really in synchronicity here as they push to the tribal.
Yeah, and obviously we're back up a little bit here because it's a lot of heavy pushing here at this point. Obviously you see Millett in third there, the Team Conti team performance car. Smeal middle of the group. And we'll watch it in real time. Smeal trying to push Gaiman, gets right there on the left rear quarter, which is not great. Gaiman gets turned, and Smeal gets turned by Millett. The fact that caution doesn't come out until after this.
Yeah,
I was going to say that is a whole bunch of cars involved.
Yeah, I was going to say race control, obviously, cautions are supposed to be on, but obviously with Matt Kent Racing, it looks like iRacing was a bit slow on the call there. It looks like it had to be manually called.
Extremely slow on the call there. That is horrible stuff. Obviously, John Smeal horribly involved in that.
Yeah, it went from a minor incident to a broken toe link in the span.
Yeah.
And the 03 at Dixon piled in. Dale Markowski, the 88 was also in, and we know Wood had already burned a fast pair, so we'll have to see exactly how bad damage he got. But we'll take another look at this again here.
We're actually going to focus on Markowski to see if we can ride on board here with the 33 of Markowski, because he's one of the first ones that come in. Because remember, caution has not come out here when they come into this. They're full bore still, because they're relying on the caution indicator. No smoke. You see Gaiman on the outside lane. They move to the inside. Now you see smoke. Don't know where to go. And Markowski, even if he had a choice, wouldn't have had much of an option there. Seth Wansing splits the inside lane.
Honestly, Seth Wansing didn't spit it. I think he got lucky by netcode, because I took a look from a wide shot, and he basically ran into, I believe, Brian Rupert, but got saved by a bit of netcode.
This is going to be an ugly crash here for John Smeal.
There's the hook. There's the other hook. Both go around. And you're just going to see kind of minding their business, hoping caution comes. And at that point, you're a passenger upside down inside Dale Markowski there, riding it backwards, eventually flipping right side up. But wild ride for the open car of John Smeal and the president of SRD Motorsports. And overall, He is going to go one down because of the damage. And as we now go simply back to live action here,
We're
he will burn
take one
his...
more live picture here. And this is going to be from Brian Dixon, who's going to have a pretty nasty look at this as well. Because he was the other car, I think, that ended up having to tow back to pit lane because of how bad this crash was. Lays off of Davey.
Had to go high or low. He went low, and his reward was seeing the corner panel of John Smeal. And in turn, that will be hood up, and at that point, you're just kind of hoping that thing falls back down, which it eventually does, but still going way too slow, way too damaged to get back up to competitive speed.
I think that's an engine that is completely destroyed as well because of the impact there, so not a great time.
So 1 to go as we're back to live action here. There's John Smeal. He'll get caught back up, burns his fast repair. I believe, though, he is 1 down along with Gaiman, Marshall, and Sharon Jr. John Wood is the recipient. Actually, he wasn't a lap down. So looks like the lap back went to... I'm trying to see who exactly would have went to.
The lap down car, if we're making sure here, just kind of following along.
Wasn't Sharon.
It wasn't Alfie Sharon or Edward Marshall. John Smeal took his fast repair. Josh Gaiman still...
I think it was Longenecker? Because he went 1 down, missing...
It would have been Longenecker, instead of Sharon or Ethan Wood.
So Longenecker will get back on the lead lap for Sunday Money Racing. That would give us 21 cars on the lead lap. But looks like John Wood, again, heavy damage. His chances of making it to the main show seem to be over. John Smeal as well, along with Alfie Sharon. Obviously, again, chaos can happen. Cautions breed cautions. And with unlimited attempts at the green-white checkered, all it takes is 1. And if you can survive it, you can maybe get yourself back on the lead lap. But we'll have 5 to go. When we take the green, Sharp and Kent will lock out the front row. Teammates for Raggy Racing, they will, well, team owner and team driver, I should say, in that front line. Then Ricino and Lawrence have worked together quite a treat. They'll take up row number 2. Then it's Feemster and Morse, highest open car. Cody Pennell and Steve Tucker, and Colin McDonough and Ross Baxter round out the top 10. Right now, the position the open cars will have to beat right now is P6 if Connor Morse can hold it. But again, we've seen chaos happen in these duels. Anything can change here, but that's what these 5 laps will settle and set the bar that Duel 2 will have to beat for those open cars.
So Sharp and Kent started this race mid-pack. They are now sitting near the front of the field. Green flag back in the air and away we go.
Sharp and Kent being teammates, they can work together here to try to get something working here. One go high, one go low.
If Kent drops down in front of Pelletier Sharp, that inside lane's been so dominant here. But you also see Riley Mauricio, who's led most of this race, going to stay right on the bumper of that 18 car to stay side by side with the 15 and with the 47. Some big players here. Connor Morris, the first car.
Oh, Seth Wanzig spun around there.
Seth Wanzig
he will go sideways through the grass. Saves it though, we stay green.
But again, he's locked in, but it's a single car, so this will not be a yellow. But the likelihood that we do see a yellow before we get to the white flag is not slim. Still side by side. It is Matthew Kent now leading the way, locking up with his teammate, Pelletier Sharp. Lawrence now leads the outside lane ahead of Connor Morris, who is trying to punch his ticket into the main event. Martinez locked into the show, leaves 2 open spots left in the field. Connor Morris right now trying to hold on to one of them. And then it goes all the way down to Marshall Harris, the 19, in the 11th, trying to get into the top 10.
How hard do you want to run? How aggressive do you take it if you're Connor Morris right now, as you see him on that high line, just trying to move forward? High line has not been the dominant line with cars
trying to get to the spot. You right now you're the leading car in this group, but that position is changing a little bit. A little further back, Marshall Harris. Inside lane, just got ahead of the 49. The outside lane just going nowhere right now.
As they're getting split, as you see on the wide shot, Millett's kind of in the middle line, and you can see Sharon on the high line. They are making 3 lines here, and that is killing the forward momentum of the outside line. And right now, side by side, is Harris and Morse, as they are both basically single neck here down the long stretch. At this point, it feels like, again, low line maybe your best friend, but if you're stuck in the low line, you're not going to move. And Morris is in the soccer hole. Look at the 28 make a move here. Going to split Cheeseburger Lawrence along with Baxter. Baxter ping pong into Lawrence. They're around. It's the big one as they all get hooked here. Caution should come out. Brian Johnson, a lot of open cars, and yellow flag will drop with 2. We will now have a green-white checker triggered. But overall, though, multiple cars involved there. Got Lawrence, Millett, Withers, McDonough, Wood, Johnson, Longenecker, Baxter, all involved there in some capacity, with a few of them, including, I think, Longenecker, heavy damage on that 9. His day will officially be done.
A lot of cars just trying to go to pit lane to avoid all the mess here. It's going to be a very ugly crash here. And again, this is what we're looking at on your screen.
They were fanning out, fighting in that middle of the high line here. They were fighting for scraps here, and it was allowing that inside line to pull away. And desperation times call for desperation methods, and you will see it here as we slow it down. Low line, Johnson gets in the corner panel of that National Guard machine, shoots it right into the middle line. At that point, Johnson also swings up. Baxter goes low. And at that point, it's just everyone's just trying to fan out. Edward Marshall gets a little hook.
This hit for Longenecker in the 9. Ooh, that's a hard hit for Longenecker. Even in slow motion, it's a hard hit. So many cars. Marshall, Lawrence. You see Withers, the 43 there. The 31 of Millett again involved here. That's Baxter. That's Longenecker. That's the 72 of Johnson. A lot of cars all over the place here. And that does bail out Seth Wansing because he was out of it.
Yep. So that'll at least give him a bunch of... Actually, it's got to be one of the better things, because he probably would have been right where this accident happened. So overall, he will get a net gain here. So we'll take another look at this again.
This is in real time, and you just see how quickly things change as they unload out of 4. Oh. And that's just a terrible impact there for the 9. Car completely destroyed. A couple of really nasty accidents here already to kick off the duels. Yeah. See between John Smeal and now Longenecker, who had raced to get back on the lead lap. Got the free pass last caution. I believe, making sure here, I believe he was trying to get back to pit lane, but I don't believe that was the case. That car not going anywhere.
Yeah. Nope. That thing was basically dead to rights.
And you see, this is where it all started. This was McDonough and Johnson is how this all really kicked off. And
it looks like I'm wondering, it's just hard racing at the time, but McDonough looked like he tried to go to the middle.
It looks
Johnson
tried to. Baxter's trying to go to the middle to get behind Cody Pennell. McDonough's trying to shoot the same gap.
They both touch right there. That sends Baxter up the line, and then McDonough kind of comes low, but at that point, Johnson's kind of there.
The door because he thinks that McDonough's going up there to stay.
And at that point, it's just a little miscommunication. At that point, comes a track blocker.
McDonough
they both
almost
go
went
up
and over. Almost had a little bit of a blowover there. They saw obviously the roof flaps deployed to keep the car on the ground. But that was almost a really nasty crash for McDonough. Withers got a little bit of airtime.
Time changes. Connor Morris, obviously, we're talking about him being in the provisional transfer spot now, damaged in that incident. So go from a have to a have not quite quickly in that moment. Speaking of the 49, there he is. So to kind of reset it, we will now have our first attempt at a green-white checker here. First of an official campaign. As technically we did have one in the Clash, but this is now technically an official race. So technically the first one, official one of the new year. We'll go over the rules again, and we'll probably bring up multiple times throughout the year for new viewers, but there are unlimited attempts at the green-white checkered attempts. The drivers will see the green flag when we get going here again. They will race back to the white. If a caution were to come out before the white flag is seen, we will re-rack them and do it again. If they see the white flag, the race is official, and they are racing back to the checkered or possibly a caution, depending on how it's called. But usually, they will not call a caution on the white flag lap, so they will be racing back to the checkered. And lastly, unlimited attempts, as many as these drivers do need. I think the record last year was 3, so they are very good at not abusing those attempts, unlike other series we have seen on these channels. So anyway, Matthew Kent and Lily Pelletier-Sharp will lock up the front row again. So Raggy Racing keeping that front row locked. Then it's Machino and Kevin Feemster in row 2, Tucker and Hawk row 3, Pennell and Marshall Harris row 4, Stefan Oberstadt and Matt Vordon in the 5th row there. there. 2 open cars to keep an eye on. Stefan Oberstadt and Marshall Harris. Marshall Harris, both in the same row. Actually, Harris is in the 4th row. Oberstadt is in the 5th row. They are both open cars. They are both fighting for their chance to make the 500. And the thing worth noting, even if they both, let's say, finish 8th and 9th, they're not guaranteed a spot. If in Heat 2, 2 open cars go out there and finish 5th and 4th, they both go home, and whoever finishes the highest presumably would be the first alternate if a spot opens up. So overall, they have to keep moving forward. They cannot rest on the rolls like previous years, where if you were the fastest open car, you'd be in. You have to make sure you get as high as you can to ensure yourself the best chance to make it into the show.
Yeah, this is where chaos typically does begin to reign supreme. A lot of drivers able to be desperate in this point in time. As you can see, 4 cars a lap down. They're hoping that this goes a little bit long to have a chance to get back on the lead lap here. You also have some drivers hoping that this stays green. We're going to see how it goes. First attempt at overtime is underway.
Wheel spin there by the 18.
Here we go.
And a little wheel spin by the 18. That could affect what Raggy Racing would like to do here. Now getting geared back up, though. So
well, you look at where Feimster's at right now. Feimster's still in a good spot. Pushing that number 18 is sharp, but here comes the inside lane with Mauricio behind Kent. Outside lane just has not been able to go today, which has been very unusual. You know what we normally see at Daytona. Usually the outside lane, if you get the numbers, will be unstoppable. That has not been the case.
It's also what we saw in the Clash 2 as Steve Tucker is going to jump to the high line in front of the 18. Feels like his best odds are on that high line. But as we come off of 4 here, we are going to see we got spinning cars in the tri-oval. Will they call the caution before we get the white? They will not. This race is now official as the 3 is backwards. He will not make it into the show, and it's going to be a race to the line here. Machino, Tucker, Pinnell, Feimster, Hawk. Your top 5 as Matthew Kent had a big oopsie somewhere as he is now falling down the order quickly here.
Yeah, everything kind of popping off big time there. Obviously, in iRacing rules, that would have been a yellow. That is not the case here. And that is a huge incident there. Mauricio now trying to hold on. Cody Pinnell looking for a way around. There's Feimster in the mix as well.
Right now, Connor Morris is pushing the 19.
Yeah.
Both open cars on the high side trying to help themselves out.
Here we
Both
go.
make it. Focus on the line.
Whoa, watch out.
Oh!
Huge block. It will be Mauricio that wins.
Harris finishes second.
Yeah.
That's the bar right there.
That is a big bar to get. Morris finished
and Connor
fourth.
Morris 4th. So those are the 2 open cars we'll have to note for the second heat here. And for the drivers in Heat 2, they are not too thrilled that they were able to pull out a 2nd and a 4th. Meaning if you want to make the show, you have to finish. Actually, Harris is pretty much locked in because if 2 dual cars and 2 dual go 1st and 2nd, that means Harris, theoretically, as he got there first, would get the spot.
Yep.
So we can pretty much just call Harris is officially in, more than likely. So Harris gets one of the spots. Machino wins the race, so he had a dominating heat here, led most of the laps. He will be rewarded with a checkered flag. But Harris, great job there, great surviving the chaos. Morris now going to be on the hot seat in the waiting room here to see what exactly conspires as we move quickly to heat number 2.
Absolutely. Nicholas Martinez Jr. front of the field again. 26 cars in duel number 2. Mike LaJoy, David Wright, John Hagan, top 4. Martinez again locked in. He's an open car. He's locked in. He is good to go. Looking down the order here, just seeing who all needs a good run. Jeremy Braille is the first one that comes to mind in the 74, starting this race in 6th. Again, outside lane, not favorable. We saw that in Duel 1. Is that different in Duel 2? We'll find out. But so far, things not looking great there on that outside lane, which is where he'll be starting in row 3. We're looking a little bit further down the order here. Tom Sears, also someone that needs to find his way in. Chris Gones, the 26. A lot of these cars a little further back in the running order. Just kind of looking through here. Ryan Pinnell, Mark Deala, Nathan LaJoy, and Braille and Brent Roberts not taking the green. They're not joining this group. That's the 84 and the 74. Roberts locked in. He's the leader of 1MA Racing. but Jimmy Braille not locked in and not on track here. So that's a big change.
Checking to see if he recently disconnected or connected. I'm not seeing him in the disconnection list here at the moment. So it looks like he is electing to maybe start from the pit lane here. Yeah, I don't see any deconnections from him at any point for the most part here. So it looks like he's electing to maybe start from the pit lane here, unless he has had a massive connection issue, or maybe in the bathroom, who knows. But regardless, he will have to start from the pit lane along with Roberts. Now, obviously, it didn't work out for Sharon when I think he started in the pit lane. So it's going to be a long climb for both of them if they take the flag here. One other thing to go over the homework real fast as well, just as we talked about the open cars, obviously Harris finished second, Morse finished fourth. Next highest open car was James Wood in 15th. Obviously he will not be in the show, but it's worth noting is they also are racing for alternates. So technically speaking, if Morse and Harris both make it through, Wood would be the first alternate, and in turn the race is on to try to get as high as you can, because if a driver doesn't make it, they will call on the alternates in order of where they end up finishing out, and that could be your lucky day if you're 41st or 42nd. So as we get on ready to go here, yeah, still no sign of Braille or Harris. They have not spawned in, so they at the very least will be behind the 8 ball. But as Martinez will lead to the flag like he did in the clash, probably see him drift back. But the question of the day is, can he and will he elect to try to go back towards the front? Pace car going to take the lonesome trip down pit lane. And let's get Duel 2 started here. As they enter the restart zone, green flag is out. And we are underway for the 7-bar barbecue Duel 2 here at Daytona. Oh, as we see him come across the line now, lap number 1 in the books for the Better Place Waste Management duel. And it's a similar sight that we saw in Duel 1, as inside line seems to be the dominant lane. High line really not going anywhere, as it just they fell like a rock. And right now, lead car on that high line, I believe, is David, one of the, yeah, it's the Pressy in the number 94 machine. Actually, it's Tom Sears. All right, he's leading that high line right now.
And there goes
He's trying to move forward. Yep, Knowlton jumps up high there to get in front of Tom Sears there. He wants to try to go forward here. Obviously, Knowlton locked in, but liking his odds, try to go forward with Tom Sears pushing, as they will lock up that high side. Cars seem a little less aggressive to fan out here, but as I say that, I see cars jump high, low here, just trying to find that line and trying to find that groove. But still, overall up front, LaJoy, Martinez, Wright, Feather Place, and Fleming, your top 5. Thing is, as I look here, obviously a lot of cars kind of not really aggressively staying close here. As you can see in that wide shot, Elfridge George, Ryan Pinnell, the 26 machine of Chris Goins, they're kind of dropping back here into a second pack. Obviously, that worked well last session for Matthew Kent and a few others. They got a decent run to the line there by not being in the main pack, but overall, they're going to play the conservative game here. A lot of open cars will be in pack number 2 as we still focus on pack 1 here. As you can see, Knowlton just trying to move forward with Sears in tow on that high line. And you can see it's only 4 cars deep, which is obviously you can hit. There's a certain sweet spot you can get away with here, where a certain amount of cars that can still be effectively moving forward. 4 is kind of pushing the limit here, but right now Sears actually looks like trying to split Knowlton, and it looks like no one's going to go with Tom Sears here. They're going to send the veteran to the back, and that's going to put Knowlton and in turn, teammates linking back up. Yep, Knowlton and Hagen, 2 and 1 will go on the high side, but yeah, it is just decongestified on that high side. This looks like they'll all tow back in. They'll have to get regrouped back up later.
Second group a little further back. Panel, Yakavazi, Dila, Mongold, all in this secondary pack here. Just kind of keeping an eye on how things play out here.
And it's risky because if you're this further back, you can try to make the move, especially if cars race, try to save. You can close that gap back up. But if it stays green, you're basically hung-dumbing yourself to a bad run because we know what the bar you have to beat is. Now car spun around there. That was the 77 going around, spinning like a top. No caution will be called here.
Yep,
single car by the rules.
Back. Nope.
Nope.
He's
That was connectivity. Yeah, he will try to go back, and that will make it even harder for that second pack to get moving here as they are now fully disorganized. Just a bad bump, and that's going to take last week's top 3 runner. And he will now
finisher.
Second place finisher.
Well behind the 8 ball here.
Yeah, he'll have to come down again. Right spot in the show. It's not have to worry all that much, but still, you do not want to be coming from the back if you can help it. We'll take another look here again, as you'll just see here. Third car in line, second car in line, and just bad bump by the Krugers. Dila just hooked him, and that sent him around. Kind of lucky that no one else got involved there, maybe to the detriment of the 77, but everyone keeps it pointing in the right direction. Single car, we stay green. Back up front, not much has really changed since we last left them. Michael Joy has led all 8 laps so far. Now the high line, though, beginning to move again here. I think Tom Sears not actually getting re-energized. That is 94 Nicholas Pressey. He will be helped in tow there by the 2 Smeal Racing Designs machines, along with the 8. They'll try to stay on that high side and get moving here to try to maybe put a brakes on the leading train of LaJoy and Martinez. You can see Pressey showing some of that veteran knowledge, kind of aggressively side drafting in the corners, trying to help pull the 28 back a little bit. As you know, as you are new to the series, new to what these cars do, when you get kind of close together, use that pocket of air to try to help propel your car forward at the expense of the other car. But in turn, if you aggressively side draft too much, it can, in turn, send you both backwards. So you got to do a finite amount. Right now, it is working as the 94 is now basically 4th in line on that low line as we ride on board with said number 94. One of the open cars that has to finish in a good spot to make it to the show. Obviously, if he ends up winning, he will cash his ticket. If he finishes 2nd or 3rd, he will also cash his ticket. Any lower, he will have to hope that a dual spot opens. And look at that aggressive move here. That's what the high line needed, a shot in the arm. 94 side by side for the point. And it looked like as we make the run to the stripe, he should lead this lap, and he will successfully do so. So Pressey, first time someone's led on that high line tonight. And he will take 1 lap lead and to the lead with Adams and Knowlton well clear. And they will have the option whether to stay high or go low.
Big time moves there for Pressey in that outside lane. Showing a little bit of that experience, that finesse that you need to be on the outside lane and to lead it successfully here. Being pushed big time by Adams, Knowlton, Hagen, and a little bit further down the order. Here goes the 8. Putting him 3 wide. That was Overstat. That was further behind as well. And here goes Jonathan Adams and Connor Knowlton.
Oh, look at Hagen. They went high side. They'll split the number 94 machine. Saw a bit of a hezzy from the 2 of Knowlton. You don't usually see that happen all that often. You have to be decisive and swift with your moves here, or you get left in the dust. And you can see right now, it actually didn't even help Hagen. It basically just killed that outside line dead. What just happened there?
Yeah,
Knowlton and Adams will be...
It did not work out.
Yeah, maybe trying to stay in line with Knowlton there, but ends up not working out. Highline will have to regroup. Pressey is going to have to find a better move to get forward here, but that sends the message, as you see now, Feather Place and the 1 of Hagen work together. That just notes that, hey, Hagen's going to be aggressive. Hagen's going to be greedy. You got to keep an eye on him. He'll get you to the front, but he's in a spot where easily he could put the knife in the back if he sees a better opportunity, even if it may be detrimental to himself. Basically the Scorpion and the Frog. 20 laps to go here as they come across the stripe now. Adams will lead that lap with Connor Knowlton in tow. LaJoy in 3rd. Now Hagen and Featherplace taking charge on the high side. And former team boss pushing now new team boss in Featherplace on that high line as Hagen wants to go to the point.
And that's exactly where he's going to go here. Inside lane no longer as organized here. Better place peeks to the inside, stays with the one as the one now moves to the inside. Tom Sears being left out the drive by the 38 of Chris Fleming, and here comes Josh Battles as well in fourth. Adams top five, Knowlton and Sears trading spots as Sears falls backwards. It'll be very difficult here again. Second and fourth with the two open spots in Duel 1. Nicholas Martinez Jr. locked in that 48 car. Not currently weighing against anyone else in this duel. They've got to kind of view him as an already locked in car. And that makes life very difficult for Nick Pressey and company. And Tom Sears in sixth. And that's why Sears and Pressey are trying so hard in the outside lane to make that work. That's sort of their only key to get to the front of the field right now. And so they kind of have to lean on each other to make that work. And you're seeing that obviously it works to a degree, but that is about it. It is a game of margins.
The thing is, there's no honor among thieves because they both know they have to, one has to win to get one spot, and whoever's the high, if they obviously don't go 1-2, one will be left out in the cold and in turn will not make the show. So they have to work together now, but all gloves will be off between the two open cars as there's no allegiances, no friendships, no nothing. They will race and race, and eventually one will get in if they both can make it, or maybe they'll both tear each other down into destruction. They'll catch a lap down machine here. I believe that is, looking to see who exactly it is, not the 77. Regardless, they will make a notion around here on the high side.
Brian Rupert.
6 of Brian Rupert, thank you there, as we now have 17 laps to go. They all will successfully navigate around. Again, this is noteworthy. If you keep an eye, obviously this is not the full pack. This is about 10, 12 cars here in this pack. There's still that pack led by Ryan Pinnell, 15th on down. They are basically on an island right now alone. They will need a caution if they want to make any chance of trying to make this competitive for any of those cars in that field. And in that pack,
move right now, first and third. That's a big move. Martinez helping Sears and Pressey get to the front. That's a really big move. Those three cars that were working on the outside lane so far all race long. And that's exactly what they needed.
Yep.
That was everything that they needed, and they got it perfect. So Hagan now down in fourth. Now it's David Wright leading the outside lane with help from Patrick Overstapp. Pressey thought about going back to the top side, and Lex against it. Now he's going to go for it, trying to get around Martinez. He knows the same thing Tom Sears knows. You win, you're in.
Yep, if you can't win, at least try to finish top 3 and you'll get in. Anything lower,
if you finish second or third, you're good.
Anything lower and you will be on the couch as the first alternate. But knowing sometimes how 40 cars can field, sometimes you can maybe find your ride. So make sure you bring your fire suit to the track. So you can see, though, it is very racy. As remember, we got pit stops coming up here, too, in a couple laps. We saw them coming around 18-19 in duel number 1. No one will try the Sunday Money Racing strat coming in at lap 12 or 13. Everyone feels confident, but it makes you wonder. We saw Kent. Oh, car get a little loose there. They're going to try to save it.
That's Christian Angel.
Nope, that caution will get called.
The 2 of Connor Knowlton. I believe further behind, if I'm not mistaken, that is Jared Newton, and that is the U-Haul number 99. Car backwards is Christian Angel. Everyone trying to back around.
Oh, got to be careful. It's spinning around there, but luckily no one's coming, so he'll get it going around here correctly. So Sears will be the leader. Take a look down in a second, but this is the bailout that second pack wanted. Ryan Pinnell, Austin Mongold, Briley Light, Nicholas LaJoy, Chris Gones. This will be the bailout they need to get bunched back up. And in turn, no risk speeding up pit lane or any chance at a major penalty here for green flag pit stops. So overall, maybe a bit of a saving grace for some of these cars here with green flags, pit stops looming in a couple laps. But now that will be a null point. So as the field catches the pace car here, all eyes on strategy calls here. 4 tires, 2 tires, fuel only. What will be the calls here for some of these cars?
Realistically, I think you're taking. Realistically, if you're looking at track position, you're taking you're taking either 2 tires or none. You're grabbing yourself a full fuel load of Sunoco fuel, and you're going to try to let it rip. That is the ultimate goal there. I think if you're taking 4 tires, you're not going to have a fun time. This has not been a very handling-based event so far. These cars are not dancing around. That, you know, it's not like the Gen 4s or the Winstell Cup cars that we saw in January, where they're dancing around and they're just everywhere all over the racetrack using up those right side tires. You can get away with not taking tires at all here, and I would expect that it would be fuel-only stops for most of the field as they come down pit lane. And well, I guess we'll take a look at it. Looking at Tom Sears, we'll pull up the timer. We'll see exactly what that timer looks like for him.
Yep. Obviously, if it's around 4 or 5 seconds, it's fuel only. Obviously, with a full fuel tank, it's probably about 8. So overall, that will basically be time for 2 tires. Could take 4 if you so choose. So as they fill them up here, 8, 9. It's going to be fuel only for some. Looks like Sears will also pull away with a 10.8, but Pressy's crew is going to be the fastest. It was a 6.82, so he took no tires. Oberstadt, Patrick Oberstadt, Martinez Jr., Hagen, and Featherplace with the top 5. Sears, as though his crew a bit on the slower side, he will fall down to position 8, which will put him outside row number 2. So this, I mean, it's interesting because now we basically kind of overall re-bunched up this field, kind of set the tone here. Gave some drivers new life rafts, other drivers less, like, giving them a chance, or giving some drivers more of a disadvantage. Some are back in the weeds, some have more space. This is kind of like putting a hornet's nest and kicking it a little bit here. So we'll have to see how this all goes here. But Pressy, right now, doing his job as the open car. He will, at the moment, be in. Worth noting as well, the next highest open car, I believe, is still Tom Sears. Yes, it is. Tom Sears will be the next open car. He's currently in 8th. However, where he is, he would not get himself in the show, but he would be first provisional of where he's currently running. Should get 1 lap to go here on the pace car here. Seeing as the lights should go out. We'll just confirm that in a second here. And we will officially get lights out on the pace car here. So as the field gets punched up, it's going to be Pressy and Oberstadt row 1, Hagen and Martinez row 2, Wright, Featherplace row 3, Sears, Fleming row 4, Battles, LaJoy, Mike LaJoy row 5, as obviously there's 2 LaJoys in this field. Just run down the top 15. We got Ryan Pennell, Jared Newton, Jonathan Adams, Austin Mongold, and Briley Wright rounding out the top 15. And for being the pole sitter, Nicholas Martinez has not led a lap yet today. You would think he would have got 1 lap at least led, but so far has yet to find that single lap led, as we obviously cycle through the rest of the field here to just show you where everyone currently is inside the top 10.
Looking at the top 10, Mike LaJoy obviously the most laps led so far. Jared Newton, after being involved in what was the first caution of the day, back up into the 11th spot. See what he can do further on here. Started this race 13th. He's on a good lane. I think the inside lane has a chance to really do well here. We got Nick Pressy leading the way on the inside lane. Tom Sears on the inside lane as well. Sorry, excuse me, Tom Sears on the outside lane. It's Fleming on the inside to his left. Better place, also up and running at the moment, as is the 11 of Josh Battles. Sears and Pressy, the 2 top cars right now that are not locked in. Pressy, a win would guarantee him the trip in the Drip Diecast 500 in 2 weeks. If he's top 3, if any one of them finish top 3, they're in. So that's the goal. Pressy will lead the field to green alongside Patrick Oberstadt, with assistance still from Nicholas Martinez, while Hagen sits in for it. Green flag flies, 11 laps to go, and that was an amazing restart by Pressy. over Martinez. Better place in third, not quite as in tune there. But Pressy, not alone, will have the ability to choose lanes, as the outside lane also struggles to get up to speed here. The inside lane will have a 3-car advantage out of 2.
Yeah, going out and making it work here. Oh, I'm hearing some radio chat there. Oh, car spun in the back
Trouble.
there. That's
there you
right.
Go.
That's
Further down in the
Pinel.
order.
97.
And that's going to be another yellow.
And looks like Pinel not too thrilled with Mongol, so we'll have to see what exactly happened between the two of them. But overall, that will be the caution here. Rebunch him up, and like I was saying, sometimes you kick a hornet's nest, and that may be the hornet's nest that just got kicked a little bit there. This driver's getting a little bit antsy. So you can see right there, the end of the incident, Bradley Wright was the one that got the hook.
So we'll
go high in the eye.
And see what's going on with this. Again, we're looking at Mongold. Oh, that's why. So we'll play this in slow motion here. Again, you're looking at Ryan Pinel in the 12, Austin Mongold in the 4, and trying to figure out why Pinel would not be so thrilled with Mongold. I think we're going to find out why. Pinel behind Mike LaJoy, the 29. Bradley Wright in the 51. Ryan Pinel. Yeah, that's Austin Mongold trying to shoot the gap. Bounces off Bradley right there. In front of Nathan LaJoy. Knowlton, 25 of Michelle gets tagged. Knowlton gets tagged twice. Believe that's the 6. It is the 6 of Brian Rupert. That's the 77 of Yakovazi. Yakovazi, who was a lap down, was going to get the free pass until this.
Yeah.
So that hurts.
That's a kick in the teeth, especially after how early on he hit the wall and then had to try to dig it back out.
And just not a great place to be. Austin Mongold trying to shoot the gap, trying to be aggressive, and just not paying off. You can watch it in real time as he tries to shoot that gap down the back straightaway. And in the aftermath. Realistically, though, could have been way, way worse.
You can say that again. Let me just knock on wood before we see a 17-car pile up here. So anyway, we're going to have 9 laps to go at the moment. We should get the green here as the field gets bunched up. We should have 8 next time by, 7 when we take the green flag. And it will still be Pressy leading the way with Martinez, Featherplace, Fleming, and Oberstadt, your top 5, as you can see Patrick Oberstadt there. Obviously, Pressy, open car. If he wins, he will lock himself in. He will take the other open spot, and that will leave Connor Morris out in the cold. So if you're a Connor Morris fan, you're hoping Pressy and none of the other open cars can finish higher than 4th. If you are a Marshall Harris fan, you are basically happy as you can be, as he's pretty much again locked in, as we have seemed to assume that obviously since if you set the time first, you get the advantage, and since Harris, obviously 2-car open cars can't jump Harris, as Martinez obviously has 1 spot for locking himself in the front row, and obviously Harris taking 2nd, he cannot be officially bumped out. So seems to be 1 spot to play for left, and that is currently in the hands of that number 94 machine, rocking it old school with the number placement of said number 94. Also, before we get the one go here, like take this opportunity as well. Thank everyone for tuning in here on ABN Studios for the Better Place Waste Management Daytona Duels for the ARCS A-Squared Cup Series. Obviously, if you are enjoying this, this whole season's going to run on Sunday nights here on ABN Studios. Make sure to come on back and see this whole season play on out, as now we officially have the one to go here. Also, good timing as well, just seeing Nicholas Pressy in the comments of the YouTube video. Obviously, maybe not him. If he is, good job multitasking, as he is texting while driving, which he can do under a caution. Let's hope he does not elect to do that, though, when the flag turns green. So as they get bunched up, it's going to be Pressy and Martinez, row number 1. Fleming, Featherplace, row 2. Hagen, Patrick Oberstadt, row 3. Battles, right, row 4. Newton and Sears round out the top 5. Then it's Adams, Gones, LaJoy, George, Dila in 15th there, with Oscar Longold flanking him on the high side. And we will have well over 23 cars on the lead lap. Vincenzo Ivazzi is the only car one down, as he was going to get the free pass there for involved in the incident. And Braille and Roberts did not take the flag, meaning Braille's chances of going for a three-peat have been officially dashed, and we will have a new winner of the 500 in 2 weeks' time.
Coming to 7 laps to go here in Daytona for the second duel. And again, Presti in a position, win and you're in. Finish top 3 and you're still good. Sears has work to do starting this race, restarting in 10th. It's not going to be easy. Chris Gones, the 26th, third open car right now, sitting in 12th. He can make a charge forward in that 26 car. Mark Dila in the 15th position with work to do. Pace car pulls down pit lane to 7 laps to go. Here we go. Martinez right there with Presti again, but better place right there too. Had a better run that time. Again, Martinez still in the second spot. He'll start second in the Trip Diecast 500 no matter what happens right now. But he would like to still win this duel, and here he goes to the outside lane. Huge push forward by Chris Fleming. Fleming trying to get clear of Presti as well, trying to push Presti down to 3rd. And now Fleming's in the middle, 3 wide. Keep an eye on the outside lane. That's John Hagan, the defending champ. Running the number 1, that gold-colored car for a reason. David Wright and Tom Sears outside lane as they come to 6 to go.
Yep, and keep an eye right now. Presti's still in an all right spot. Now down to 4th.
He's now in a bad spot now because he's 4th.
Yeah. I was going to say as well, Tom Sears, though, on that high line, he's ready to crash that party as well, as he is charging on that high line to try to make something happen. Now Presti again in a good spot in 2nd. He's pushing the bumper off that 48 machine. He's trying to wield him forward here. That low line has been the good line, but it seems to have kind of ran its kryptonite here as the sun has set. As the track has gotten cooler and the sun is gone, that high line has become rejuvenized, and it is showing right now as the 1 will go to the point at the moment, but the 48 is answering back on the low side. We will have 5 laps to go, but Dila just got hooked a little bit. We keeps a point in the right direction. We stay green, but he's got heavy damage. He will lose the draft, and the outside line lost a lot of momentum because of that little tap up there. And that's going to give the low line a little bit of a breathe here as we cut the Presti. Currently still in 2nd. He is safe. There you can see behind. It is Hagan, and then no one really behind him other than Featherplace in right. Sears now dropped down to 7th.
And now Presti feigns to the outside, goes to the outside, gets ahead of Hagan. Hagan tries to go 3. Will go 3. And Presti's in the middle. Fleming
I did not like that call.
Very bold move. Hagan trying to win this race and kick off the season the way he ended 2024. They are 3 wide. Further back, Martinez, though, losing spots.
There's one thing I learned: you don't trust a Hagan hit check in the back.
And there it goes, Featherplace.
Featherplace, Mongol, George involved. You can see also a few other cars getting involved.
And
big
the
incident
comes
there.
Out.
Yep, Featherplace, you can see, I think, right front heavily damaged, possibly. Other than that, maybe the car's rolling okay. But overall, though, big incident. We'll take a look, and you can see how these usually play out. Chaos breeds chaos. And you're going to see right there is we'll try to get a good look a little closer if we can. And it's just going to be a ping-pong effect. So there's Alfred George in the Jimmy John's machine.
This is starting a little bit further forward. I think this starts with Knowlton checking up Martinez.
Yep.
Trying to clear himself.
Oh,
100% clears himself.
Was trying to fall in. That caused a checkup.
Yeah, it causes a huge checkup there. Featherplace gets in the George.
Martinez sends George back in the
and
4.
the Mongold there, who gets a little bit of karma from the last caution.
And then George gets sent In the feather place, they both go around high side. Actually, good avoidance by Mont now. I was going to say good avoidance, but and then
Almost
nowhere to
flips up and
go.
over. Nowhere to go for Jonathan Adams or Nathan LaJoy. Mike LaJoy there goes as the far to the left as possible there.
At that point, it's just a free fall. Some cars like Briley Wright gets on the brakes, avoids most of all of it. But yeah, just a very chaotic incident there. Just by drivers being aggressive and taking no prisoners. So we'll take another look here again.
This is again in real time, watching from, see if we can go on board here with the 34 of feather place, because this is going to be a nasty shot.
Yep, high side there. You see Nolan following Fleming. That jacks him up. And
just a little bit, just trying to lift and get out of the way, avoid running over Martinez, and unfortunately nowhere to go. George is pointing back in the right direction. See the battle scars in the 34 as they get ready to come down pit lane. John Hagan leads over Pressey, Fleming, David Wright, and Connor Knowlton right now.
Yeah, one thing at the very least right now, again, Pressey kind of learned the same lesson. I think it was Sears that learned the lesson previously. You don't trust Hagan on that high side. Because Hagan is, again, he's not dirty by any means, but he is aggressive. If he sees a move, he's going to take it. And he's saw, like, I'm not going to push you. The 94 hesied, and the 24 then went up. Sears split it, and luckily Pressey hung on in the middle there, because that could have been disastrous if there was no one else there to bail him out. We will now officially enter green-white checker territory here, as we will have another first green-white checkered attempt, I should say. Second of the night is obviously Duel 1 had one attempt as well. The 77 of Vincenzo Icavazzi will get back on the lead lap, giving us 24 cars at the moment on the lead lap. Obviously, the question is, can Newton, Nathan LaJoy, Mark DeLayla, Austin Mongold make the bell here if they still have a fast pair? Looks like Newton will make it. As for the other three, still questions around them. As for at least Mongold and Deala, I should say, are both in the show. Nathan LaJoy is not, and if he has a longer pair, what it looks like he is, his chances of making it through are slim to none. We'll take this opportunity again to recycle here. Obviously, Hagan taking the lead here. Other than that, though, to keep an eye on the open cars, Pressey obviously is the highest of the next open cars, currently sitting in second. The next highest on the list is going to be Tom Sears, again, currently in sixth, but keep an eye on that 26 of Chris Goins. He is also an open car as well, currently sitting in seventh. He could crash this party. We saw it in Heat 1 with Nathan Harris. He was riding around kind of the back to the mid-pack all night, and when the chaos broke around him, he was able to part the seas, get up towards the front, and end up finishing second, pretty much mathematically clinching himself the spot. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you ran most of this race up front or ran in the back. It's where you are when that checkered flag is in the race marshal's hands. Should have one to go this time by, and the lights are now officially out on the pace car. So we are going to start green-white checkered attempt number 1 with Pressey and Hagan in row 1, Fleming and Wright in row 2, Knowlton and Sears in row 3, Oberstadt and Goins in row 4, Battles and Martinez Jr. in row 5. And right now, at least hearing on radio comms, Pressey trying to make some wheeling and dealing here, trying to motivate or help the 38 or even the 42, because that's lined up behind him. Just trying to get some extra assistance here and get that push to give himself a chance. And with 2 open cars on that outside line, and Chris Goins, actually I think he's also lined up on the outside line. All 3 open cars are on that outside line, so if the line does not get going like we kind of seen previously a little bit, this could spell disaster for the cars on the outside line. But as we've seen recently, that outside line has been able to kind of keep going on late restarts. Oh, and lastly as well, just to note as well, obviously pit stops coming at lap 15. If we get multiple green-white check attempts, there could be questions of fuel, because fuel tank's about 18-21 laps. They would have ran about 16-17 laps at this point, so there is a chance they will have to find some extra fuel if we get multiple green-white checkered attempts.
It's going to be a pressure cooker here for a restart. A lot more on the line in this duel than I think a lot of people were expecting with how good Duel 1 went. Again, Marshall Harris effectively locked in at this point with his P2 finish in Duel number 1. Presley right now in second is in the Catbridge seat to lock himself in. If he falls below fourth, Connor Morris, who finished fourth in Duel 1, gets in. Green flag flies, and away we go on that inside lane. Way more hooked up and put together. That puts Presley on the back foot. And there's trouble. Trouble. Sears turns.
David Wright. Yep, that was, you saw the aggression there. The line did not go. I wonder why Wright really didn't move. And you can see the effect there. I think Wright missed the shift. And that stacked up Sears, and Sears had to try to do something. I'm not saying he intentionally wrecked him, but he had to try to get low.
He was trying to get out of the way because he was hemorrhaging spots.
Yeah. So we'll take a look here again. You can see the effect right there as cars are going high and low, and you can see they got right into the 25 machine.
And this is as soon as we get to the restart zone. Let's see if we can actually ride on board here with David Wright. See if we can get one of the onboard cameras here.
Yeah, we'll listen in too. Listen to that engine. See what exactly happened.
He's in third gear right now. You can see that on his dash right now. It's not a great start. Yeah, he said third gear the entire time.
Getting gear down. That is a bit of a rookie mistake. Maybe a bit to sleep at the wheel, and that just shows you when you miss that shift, or you're not even saying miss the shift, he just didn't get down in the competitive gear.
Yeah, you need to be second for that.
Caused the stack up, and in turn you can see desperation, because remember that high line, like I was saying, has Sears, has Gones, has a few other open cars. They need to get going here, or if they lose touch, it's over, and they're going to be possibly watching the race from the couch. So as he's now riding aboard here with Sears, you can just see Peresi gets off into the distance, Wright not going in tow. And there you can see there's the green, there's the push. He's trying to shove, can't move to the line. And as soon as the line hits, he sees a hole, he tries to go down, or at least maybe try to slowly move him out of the way. Wright goes down too, and then they kind of just all touch together, and Sears kind of escapes the best out of the three of them, and the 25, just an innocent bystander in that situation.
Yeah, it's extremely unfortunate there. So we're gonna have another attempt here at an overtime finish. And again, for Nick Pressey, now he's got to be a pusher for, more than likely it's gonna be Chris Fleming that he's at the push here, because it's gonna be Hagan and Knowlton on the inside lane, teammates there for SRD Motorsports. So he's got to be right there on top of Chris Fleming to get this going. Chris Gones, the 26 car, now the second open car in the line, fifth as it sits right now.
Should be, again, noteworthy as well. The next highest, obviously we know Morris is obviously the car they have to beat, but it's worth noting as well, the first highest provisional is at the moment, like I said, it was Ethan Wood, who currently finished, I believe, 15th. So yeah, Ethan Wood is the next highest open car, so in Heat 1. So it does, with provisionals, there is that point in the race as well. You don't want to end up backwards on the last lap, because even if you miss the show, let's say you finish 7th, 8th, and you possibly fall out, if two cars can't make it in 2 weeks' time to the 500, whether they maybe go to the real Daytona 500, whether something happens, a commitment, connectivity issues, can't get the computer on, who knows? That opens the door to drivers being able to punch their ticket in. So if you end up wrong way around, like we saw Stefan Oberstadt on the white flag of Heat 1, you're going to have to hope at least 12, 15 drivers don't make it. But if you're at least 7th or 8th, it gives you the chance that if maybe 1 or 2 drivers just can't make it, you'll get a seat at the table and have a chance to make that dream happen. We obviously even seen it in real life, at least in the Kentucky Derby side, where we saw a scratched horse get the call on Friday and goes on to win said Kentucky Derby. So it can happen. Stranger things have happened, at least in a form of racing. But obviously we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And some cars electing to save fuel up at the front, seeing Knowles on that apron along with Hagan. Are there possible fuel concerns as well for some of these cars?
Leading lap 33, we've gone beyond regulation obviously here, and we're going to go pretty well beyond it.
Yep. Because Hagan and Fleming came in at 17, along with Pressey, Gones, Martinez, Rowdy, Sears, and Oberstadt. Knowlton topped off at 21. and Pennell came in at 20, and Adams and the rest behind him basically came in at 28 or later. So fuel concerns are minor for anyone past basically 12. I wouldn't say Knowlton's pretty safe at the moment, but obviously with these extra fuel laps, they've been able to save at least a little bit. Will it be enough? Anyway, so we'll recycle the field again. Hagen, Fleming, row 1. Knowlton, Pressey, row 2. Martinez and Gones in row 3. Sears and Angel, row 4. Pennell and Oberstadt, row 5. We have 4 open cars inside this top 10. So if chaos breeds chaos, and it's a scramble, it could come down to a little argy-bargy on the white flag lap.
Lights out on the base car. So again, we're looking at the potential unlimited green-white checkered attempts, which is a big ordeal.
Fleming and Pressey on the radio working together. Fleming saying, push the you-know-what out of me.
Yes.
And Pressey saying, let's go. We're going to do this. They're getting ready. They're linking up.
Now remember, Vincenzo Iacovazzi finally got back on the lead lap here. He did get the free pass that last time by. He did a great job of that. Now he's in the battle for positions. He's in the mix too. And we know how good he is coming through traffic and skirting on by. We saw that a week ago. So we're going to see if he can do more of that here when the pressure is at its highest. And again, pressure cooker to open up the season. It is far from easy. But it's Hagen, Fleming, Knowlton, Pressey, Gones, Martinez, your top 6. As the pace car will take on that left-hand turn down pit lane. Could this be the last restart in the duels? We'll find out. Green flag is in the air and away we go. And the teammates for SRT Motorsports get an early launch. Pressey gets to 4th, stays in 4th. Not good enough. And he's trying to make the field.
Low. Yeah, he has to go low there. He couldn't afford to stand the high line. The high line lose momentum.
Yeah, you look at where Chris Gones is right now. It would have been an easy lost position there. See what Martinez can do. See what Sears can do. Pressey looking at that outside line still. Down the back straightaway. Can we get to the white flag?
As soon as that high line gets momentum, Pressey's going to have to jump, or he'll probably go with Fleming as soon as they make the move.
Here. Teammates are going to work together and make it very, very difficult. Side by side, they are further behind. It is a 4-car breakaway coming to the white flag. 1 lap to go in the duels. Pressey's lost a little bit of ground.
Unless that second pack finds something, he's going to have to either hope Fleming makes a move. Yeah, he's going to have to hope Fleming tries something, and he can try to sneak around here. If Fleming stays in line, his day is done. He's going to get a little tow here. Here comes Martinez. They're going to have at least a chance.
They're going to have
something. He's going to have some help. He's going to have to ride the bull, though. He's going to go high. Martinez is going to... And they're going to split him.
And this is going to doom both of them trying to transfer through because they're outside the top 5. Teammates 1, 2. In cars 1 and 2.
Big race for the...
Knowlton's out. Knowlton's out of fuel. Knowlton's out of fuel.
They're splitting. Sears on the wall. Pressey
wins.
Gones gets the spot. I believe he will. He'll get 6th. Sears will get 7th. It will not be enough for either, as they both will miss the show. And I was talking about fuel concerns, and it bit it in the rear right there.
Yeah.
Nolan runs out. Neither will make it, and that move ends up costing them both. And in turn, it will be Connor Morse who will get the final spot in heat number 1. He'll get the spot, and he will be number 43. That also means, though, at the very least, Chris Gones will be 1st provisional, Tom Sears will be 2nd, and Nicholas Pressey will be 3rd. So at the very least, they will be the next 3 on provisionals if need be. But the final 3 spots, obviously Martinez will get it via of the qualifying on it. And the first 2 runners, Marshall Harris and Connor Morse, will get the last 2 spots and will make it into the Drip Diecast 500 in 2 weeks' time.
That was absolutely wild. Absolutely insane to see how that all played out. I'm obviously Knowlton running out of fuel, obviously not ideal. He thought he had enough and almost did. But unfortunately not enough.
It raises a good question because obviously Pressy, with hindsight being 2020, he had to make a move there. He had to make a move, and he got split and he got locked out. It doesn't even look like he ran out of fuel. It looks like Michelle on the radio was saying he blown the engine possibly. So it didn't look like he ran out.
Looking like here is that he could have blown the engine. That's very possible.
Because he was pushing basically on the back of Hagen for about 2 laps there, and if he was locked out with no air, just going straight, it could have caused the engine just to go poof and explode. But yeah, hindsight being 2020, you never know in these situations. And yeah, if Pressy stays behind him, Fleming, he makes it in. But obviously, you never know. So he had to make the move. He got split, and he ends up being the big loser out of those 3. And in turn, we'll now have to hope some drivers do not end up showing up to the Drip Diecast 500 next 2 weeks from now.
Obviously a wild time here, and just absolutely insane how everything turned out here in Daytona. To walk through, obviously, as everything sort of comes to a close, a very chaotic close at that. I am just making sure.
Yeah, real fast while you check that, I do want to confirm, yeah, Knowlton did blow his engine, was going back on replay. The engine did let go. So his engine blew out of 4, and that's what caused him to drop spots quick.
And just confirming that it is Marshall Harris and Connor Morris that did get in with Nicholas Martinez Jr. So they are locked in here. So that is going to determine the 43-car field here from Daytona. 2 weeks from now, as you mentioned, big time arrives. The Drip Diecast 500 on February 16th. It's going to be a long wait. Get these 2 weeks out of the way. The big game next week, we're off. We don't have anything going on Sunday the 9th. We do have stuff going on Saturday the 8th here on ABN, right here on YouTube. It is the Platinum Endurance Championship. They begin their 7th season, the 10 hours of Belgium at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Happy to be on board for another season of the Platinum Endurance Championship. That is Saturday, 7 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on YouTube for ABN Studios. And then the ARCS Cup Series season opener, the Drip Diecast 500, February 16th at 7 p.m. Both of those events, you can already notify yourself, set up an alarm for both of those events right here on YouTube. For everyone that tuned in to be a part of this event, whether you were a driver or a fan, thank you so much for joining in and tuning in tonight for us. No interviews tonight. Everyone now gets to debrief and just get ready for these next 2 weeks. But for my co-commentator Kevin Young, myself, Carmen, Sienna, and everyone here at ABN for the 7-Bar Barbecue ARCS Cup Series and the Better Place Waste Management Duels at Daytona. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay warm. We'll see you again very soon, whether we're in Belgium or in Daytona. Till next time, so long, everybody, from the high banks of Daytona Beach.